All right, so back. I had to make a new recording. My Bluetooth hearing aid, the microphone disconnected. So, but yeah, no, they don't think about it like that. And there's a good dang reason, right? And it's like, no, not really. There isn't really a reason. Never would have thought to fucking use an injection after the fact with a leaned mixture to gain more power, as if it had a higher top dead center pressure. And now I don't need to use the expensive fuels to maintain a higher bottom dead center pressure because I'm maintaining the heat and pressure over time in a two-stage combustion cycle versus a single-stage combustion cycle. That's all that is. And it's like compression, ignition would be just fine, right? And it's like, no, get out of here. That's the reason why I don't want to use diesel for this. I'm not even kidding. They have direct injection engines. I'll just use one of those and put some port injectors into it. So I could do that, but it's like, nah, because it's just 5,000 psi for a direct injection, and I don't even necessarily need to have it jet out like that. But if I can trade that nozzle out for a different nozzle, then it's like, yeah, no, I can't do that. You know what I mean? They have very high psi, like 30,000 psi or something. I was like, yeah, no, but I want it to jet out. It creates a very specific spray pattern that helps increase the burn instead of only downwards. It's like, yeah, no, that's so that part got really hot. That's kind of irrelevant, honestly. I need to kind of like heat up the entirety of that and mix very fast because it's gonna burn fairly quickly, but not that quickly. And I need it to really heat up, even though I made it denser and more pressure. It's like the heat is really give the pressure that you want. And so it's like, you can do it with a direct injection. It's fine. It's not that big of a deal. And you have a prototype now that works easily. I don't even need to do anything. Truthfully, I just need it on a fucking four-cylinder, four-stroker. Don't even change the camshaft or any of that rest of it. I just lean out the fucking like injection on the fucking first one, you know, because that's all I have to do. But it's like, oh, why would you do that? And it's like, because I bumped up the fucking pressure. Oh, yeah, it's a forced induction. You have to do a forced induction. So it's like, all right. So it's like, oh, I've changed the spring here. It's not really meant to be at this pressure, but I'm not going to be having enough fuel. And I'm like, that's fine. I literally don't care. The fuel is fine. I'm same amount of fuel. I'm increasing the psi of the turbo, and then I'm adding a fuel bump any higher RPM, and that's all I necessarily need. Not just the high RPM. No, you're right. I probably shouldn't do that. But that's like an easy way to maintain efficiency because it's like I don't want it to do that all the time, and so I lean down my mix. Whatever, who cares? I don't care. Means nothing to me. I know. It's like you have large amounts of nitric oxide emissions. Do I though? Do I? Let me look at that. Hmm. So, did you just forget about the valve thing? Just forget about the valve thing that we were talking about? You don't have to do the valve thing. No, I don't. But I'm like, oh, look at that. What? It's not as lifted and it doesn't last as long. Huh. Yeah. That's strange. Yeah. I wonder how I did that. It would appear that I switched the timing. by having it slip on a clutch just slightly. And then go back to the correct timings when I wanted to. Acting is it, I have less lift and duration. Because it is at different points in the stroke cycle of the engine. Meaning less air. And it works correctly with the amount of fuel I have. Huh. Strange. It's almost like you're wrong and I'm right. It's almost like you didn't think creatively, you just wanted to challenge what I said. Sounds like that, yeah. Mm-hmm. But you're right. It would be nitric oxide emissions that are increased if I lean it out that way, so I'd have to do both of them. So it's like, you know what? It's pretty easy to find a turbo for an inline four, truthfully. In fact, there's a decent amount of inline fours that have turbos already on them. If I could scrap it, you know what I mean? Like, let's just pull this out. Let's do this. Let's change that. I mean, this is all I have, like a shop, you know, and the tools. I would do it myself. I wouldn't even stop myself. Why would I give a shit? Doesn't matter to me. Turbo spins the right speed. Fabricate the fucking intake area. I don't need no stupid freaking V8 thing or anything like that. I just fucking do this. And I have direct injection, fucking, you know? And that's all it takes. And I mean that. Because it's like, look at this intake manifold. Gurney, gurney. What's that? Gurney. Yeah, it looks like a hole in the back. Seems like it'll be, oh, wow, look at that. Holy shit. Is that some, like, fucking sheet metal being welded onto the intake manifold? Sure, I guess. Those are the sounds. I know, right? But, yeah, so it goes to there. And there's a hole over there for the intake. Separate from the intake that's in the front. Yeah. How did I do that? Hey, zing zing! I don't know. How did I do that? I'm sure that there's no drills of any kind or clamps that can be used. I'm sure that doesn't exist. Yeah, how did I do that? Let me think and ponder. I fucking used a drill and some clamps, you fucking idiot! And stuck a larger hose on the other end. Pretty simple. Jeez. Fucking this guy. You have a hose? Oh, I don't know. If I have a shop, I'm pretty sure I can buy a fucking hose, idiot. Ah! Fucking assholes. Jesus fuck. I know, right? Oh, yeah, no, that one's fun for me. Like, oh, let me just drill into the side of the hose, stick a hose to this fucking part, JB weld it, pressurized test, and it seems to be working. Not feeling anything around there. Yeah, that works. Bye. Look at, you know what I mean? Like, it's simple to me. It's pretty simple. And it's like, and it's separated, so that way it goes to the front and the back. So it takes a little bit longer. That's fine. I don't mind. And you're not going to, and you don't need to. And it sits close enough to the intake manifold that you really didn't have to change that much. So it should still fit in whatever engine bay it was in. It gets rid of the very problem of this vacuum pressure resonant frequency that exists in this garbage intake manifold, creating a lower pressure zone over, especially at several RPMs. These stupid fucking valves, it's like, what the fuck is this? This is easy. This is an easier flowing thing. So it's mostly not getting the right pressure at the fucking rear. And this other zone, when it resonant frequencies correctly, slightly past the first valve. Those are really the main areas in a straight pipe intake manifold. So stick a hole over there. It only needs to be roughly about the same size as the port, on the head. So get that diameter, circle it, do your little calculations, and you're done. And you're good to go. You're fine. Sheet metal will work just fine. It's cast iron. I can fucking weld a fucking goddamn sheet steel onto some cast iron. This is bullshit if you think I can't. Or aluminum. I can still use aluminum too. I can then fucking paint it, or not paint it, but like get the JB Weld out. Fuck it, little weld and JB Weld over that. Get some silicone caulk. Doesn't matter. It's sealed enough. I don't give a shit. High temperature silicone caulk, sure, whatever. It's fine. I don't mind. And it solves the stupid vacuum pressure resonant frequency problem. It literally, that's all that's necessary to solve it. It literally gets rid of it every time. Really? Yeah, pretty much. It's now going to exist inside the in between of each of the ports. Yeah, for like all the fucking RPMs, pretty much. Yeah. Really? Yeah, because it's like, oh, there's a little bit less here. Dunk, 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 dunk. It sucks it in from both sides. Yeah. Pretty much. That's all it's doing, and that's all it's necessary. I don't need to fucking worry about outright peak power performance. This is a prototype. Get out of here, you fuckwad. Fucking easy ass defeated motherfucker. It's so angry and needs to challenge me at everything. Any minute it needs to do that. That's a problem for you. You need to not be like that. Ooh. Now, moving on. It's not hard to just remove the damn camshaft part and stick on a hydraulic fluid rail line and some fucking hydraulic rams. I can easily do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that hard. So it really isn't. No. And I can, hey, what's that? Are those? No. But yes. Actually, yes. They're motorcycle springs, if I necessarily needed them. They're fucking small, tiny little, fucking barely there springs. You know what I mean? Like, you don't even need springs. Why would you want springs? I'm like, it's just in case. It's a redundancy. It's in case. You know what? It failed. Well, no, it's stuck closed, and that's fine. You know what I mean? That's fine. I don't mind it being stuck closed at all. Really? Because then I'm gonna notice that and be like, oh, let's just head back into the shop just in case. Let's see where the fuel line came off over there. It wiggled itself off because you need some mounting holes or something. And it's like, that's easy. Yeah, that's a nice little research and development thing. It's like, weld in some like little parts and pieces, drill the things, bolt it on. Now it's stuck to the engine a little better. It doesn't wiggle as much. Should solve the problem. Yep. Let's go. Brrr. 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 Solve the problem. Looks like it. Looks like a solid problem. Let's go over some like harder roads. Oh my god, who fucking designed this road? Who the fuck designed this road? There's potholes everywhere. There's fucking bricks. There's potholes in the bricks. Who designed this? What the fuck is this road? Where the hell is this? And it leads to a trail. You want me to go on a trail with a fucking car with an inline four? No lift? I'm not going on that. I'm not doing this. Get out of here. This is never meant for that. Go away. Shut the fuck up. Get out of here. Fucking trying to ruin my goddamn only vehicle I have. Fucking asshole. Meanwhile, me. Dun, 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 dun. Had to go a little bit on the trail. Get off the damn thing. Really? There's like sides that are just ginormous freaking rain gutters. This is terrible. This is terrifying. Yes, it is. Seriously, this is terrifying. It's a little, yeah. Not gonna lie. Yeah, but I got back. It's fine. Got a nice little flat spot and just a bunch of, side to side motions. Yeah, seems to be working just fine. Nothing fucking failed. It's good. It's good to go. Head back. Breathe! Really wanted to test to see if we can do the highest RPM that we had it set for. That's what that is. Yeah. Breathe! It's like, no, because it's not going to sound like that. But I'm going to love doing that to people. Really? Yeah, because why would I fucking have it go and then go back down, and then back down, and then back down? I'm not doing that. It goes, and that's it. Which is fine. There's no issue. I don't have any problems with that. The main problem is I had 3/4 of a tank of fuel, and now I have a 1/4 of a tank of fuel. Burned fuel. Did. Damn. Fuck. Shit. Okay. Yeah, how much more power do you think? I don't know. I was just being a dumbass. It was in neutral. So I didn't really get any pick up and go. And I got real afraid real fast. I was like, holy shit, my fuel gauge! My fuel gauge! Holy fucking shit! Because I was just having a fun time, and then it was like, oh, fuck, yeah, no, we're just gonna stop that. Yeah. It's gonna go back home, put here. This is a good test of the economy mode, and it's like, yes, no, that's why I put it in economy mode. It sounds like I was running off of like 1 or 2 cylinders. It balances between it. Really? Yeah. 2 strokes, one of them, and then it like decides to run off of a single cylinder. I mean, 2 cylinders, and puts another one on a 4-stroke from time to time, and closes the other ones at full intake, so that way they're air springs, and I get a little bit of that energy back. It's like a version of a flywheel almost. Stores energy, and so yeah. Really, why would you do that? Because a single cylinder does not give that much power, and a 2-stroke single cylinder is not that much power for this fucking thing either. But every so often, adding in a single extra cylinder from time to time will make it feel pretty decent. And it uses a lot less fuel as a result. Really? Yeah. Yeah. No, I just need to reduce. Basically, I just reduce lift duration and overall amounts of fuel. So it's like the two stroke is running off of the single injector, and then the four is the two injector, that kind of thing. And that's also leaned out a little. Still not going to hit any problems with the nitric oxide commission out there, but it does its job. Apparently, we have a commission. The big old nitric oxide polices. I wish they worked with the EPA. It would be nice if they went after like all the power generators from all these fuckers with coal and stuff. But the coal is just carbon dioxide, man. I'm like, yeah, technically, until they have to pressurize it and then try and make like this hot air steam thing, and then like they run it through blades and stuff and make energy somehow. Anyways, I'm gonna move off of that because that's basic stuff. That's basic stuff. I don't need much to make that work. You know what I mean? I don't need to go high RPM. It's economy mode. You know what I mean? It's like just get me there. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just get me there. Do 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 do. And I'm there. Did it ever move? I mean, it must have. I didn't see it. It must have. It must have moved, but like I didn't. It didn't on the thing from what I saw. It's enough of a subtle one that I don't know. Yeah, and then that's all I would do because it's pretty simple. Like honestly speaking, yeah, no, like an inline four that already has the upgrades for like a basic turbo, increase the turbo, spring and down, that's basic stuff, and then it's a valve thing, you know, it's just timing, yeah, it's just valve timing. That's all it is. Don't use the same accent. Oh, come on. What? If you're gonna talk to me sounding like that, why can't I use the same voice? Okay. Anyways, the point I'm trying to make is it's pretty basic ass simple shit to me. And it's an easy upgrade path for anyone. Anyone with a direct injection engine that has any turbo attached to it is an easy upgrade path. Like what red line? And I'm like, yeah, no, red lines are pretty easy to maintain. You just need fuel line or hydraulic line pressure and the fast enough solenoids, which that's just timing. Yeah, solenoid timing is simple. Yeah, no, because you like pulse before this, because it's like it's going to take about this many milliseconds to go through this stupid copper, and then get to you, and then it should take about that long for it to turn. And so it's all about calculating that, and then you're done. So pulsing it before, yeah, but you're talking about basic, math that they use for computer lines on motherboards and stuff. It's like I need it to be about this long because it'll take about this long for the fucking thing to get to the thing, and so everything will be timed appropriately. I mean, okay, I can do the same thing. There's no problems. Good. Really? Yeah, there's no problems. Keep them all the same length. cables. It's all you need from the point where it's sending out the signal. That's all you need. Yeah. And then it's like you get the double pump. So it's like, hey, you're very leaned out. No, I'm not leaned out anymore. No, wait, what? Yeah, I'm not leaned out anymore. No, I'm good. I maintain pressure. I have better high end torque, which means I have better high end RPM horsepower. Woohoo! Because maintaining hydraulic line pressure and the correct solenoid timings means I open it up for the same length and duration that's necessary for the speed and rate of the piston time until top dead center and bottom dead center, which is totally calculatable. Hell, I just looked it up yesterday on a website called Hot Rod Math, and then did some basic calculations. Yeah, he looks so embarrassedly angry. He's just like, no. He's got his little spring. Yep, this is the right pressure. Certain amounts of pressure give you this amount of time to open. And like starting that opening before will start the intake process a right amount of time. So it's all timing. It's all timing and pressures. It's spring. You don't really need it, if I'm honest, because it actually reduces the amount of time with the amount of, because if I get rid of that spring, I can reduce pressures and then be able to get better timings. And springs will eventually wear out and lose the amount of pressure that they're pushing back against the hydraulic valve, which messes up my timings. So it's actually kind of wrong to have a fucking spring. Yeah, even like seals inside of a pneumatic cylinder will still end up actually like eventually wearing out. So I'd have to replace those that are correct. And you never know with the manufacturer. Like a few pounds of difference or even grams of difference can dramatically, especially at higher RPMs, change those timings of the hydraulic valve, or hydraulic ram, for your valves. Right. That's all that is, yeah. So it's like there's a reason I don't really want to use springs. But I am right now because blah 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 prototype blah 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 prototype blah 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 for them. Wah wah wah, cry cry, yamba yamba, all I hear. It would never work. You need all this. Oh, okay, you already thought about that. Okay. Eh. It would never do such a thing at all. I'm like, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Whenever you stop fucking talking, you fucking cunt. We would all really appreciate it. No one wants to hear you constantly talking with challenges. Fuck the challenges. Fuck the fuck it. Just listen and then discuss. You idiot. Just so annoying. I'm so annoyed because it's like, what the hell? What the hell are you doing? What are you doing other than showing your insecurities of someone like having some intelligence and creativity? And all because you have some degrees or some shit, which dramatically decreases your intelligence levels in anyone's eyes that's actually creative and intelligent. You're just someone that learned some shit. That's the reason why I have problems with people that claim they're intelligent just because they have a PhD. It's like, no, no, you learned a set amount of fucking information. And you know a good amount about that. In fact, pretty dang good amount. It didn't make you intelligent, it made you knowledgeable on something. So, getting into the remainder of what that prototype would be for me is just like, oh, hey, huh, I can't increase pressures past this point. Top dead center pressure is going to blow gaskets and everything. But I absolutely can, in every fucking way, put more air in there. So I'm having a problem. You know what I mean? To say, oh, I got the total lift and duration of the entirety of the intake strut. It's good to go. Got the port intake or port injection. It's leaned, but more than good enough. You know what I mean? Like it's fine. Injected a little bit before all that stuff. You know, but it's like I can't fucking the damn thing's gonna break. You know what I mean? So it's like there's a limit. There's always a limit. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's my problem with this design. It's like, oh, there's a limit here. It's like, yeah, no. So you acted like you got more, and it's like, yeah, technically, it's just an act. It's just a secondary combustion. That's all it is. Because I inject in a hot, compressed environment with flames still happening, likely, anyways, and can still pulse a secondary spark before it's hit the bottom half of the cylinder. I get more pressure. I get more heat. All I have to do is have the direct injector because it's still 30 psi. It's still going to compress and ignite. It's still going to give me that extra oomph. And it'll act like I had way higher amounts of fuel at top dead center and I had way higher pressures. It'll act that way. But now it's not going to break. But there is a point where I can't go past it. I can't add 35 psi. Sorry, folks. If it was only ever meant for like, hey, 12 psi, it's like you're putting like 17 in now, and I'm like, yeah, no, and I didn't even change the amount of fuel I put into it. I'm putting 24 in there, and I'm like, yeah, I know. That's dangerous. Should compression ignite technically at the top at that point? This is a problem. Really? Yeah, no, because like higher octane fuels are required to be able to have that extra air. Because it's like you're increasing the amount of psi for the air in the cylinder that you get. So you have to calculate that. And, oh, great, air fuel mixtures, but compression still increases because your cylinder is going up. Increases the amount of pressure, which increases the amount of concentration of heat, which smacking around little balls of particles. You know what I mean? Which transfer kinetic heat, that kind of thing. And also you're adding more pressure, PSI, at the fucking top dead center. So it's like, oh, you can do it, but you have to do it up to a certain point, and after that, your fuel is really what you're limited with. Like higher octanes are going to be really helpful. Yeah, yeah. And it's like usually you use higher octanes anyways if you have a turbo, because, and if it's turbo, it's already a lower compression, most likely. But I increase the overall compression ratio here as a result of increasing the PSI. So I'm currently doing, things in my head to try and figure out how best to. Well, I already did them, if I'm honest. But I'm kind of going through it again because it's like, Yeah, no, I can't do that. That's not worth it. That's stupid. That would be okay, but it's not okay. And I'm like, how do I make this? How do I do that? How do I have this? What's this? That? Because I can't do 24 psi. No, 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 no. It's gonna compression ignite immediately. That's a problem I have. Thank you. Yeah, no, I know. That's a problem I have. It's stupid. I hate it. And you want that double the air, double the fuel, double the power, but it's not really. Because it's like use 4 times the force to get twice the power. It's basically all the math always seems to check out. But then you have conversion, energy transfer rates, that kind of stuff. So you lose about 40% to 60% sometimes. Yeah. Yeah, so that's always a problem. And it's like, people, you're not getting the same fucking top dead center PSI. There's no way. So, oh, I went from 900 and then I was going to drop down and I sustained about 900 for a few milliseconds and then it started dropping down. It's not much, but it is something. Right. Because it's like, hey, so I went down a quarter of the way and now I've reignited. I went from 1500 PSI, yeah, to, I'm about 900. I'm trying my best. I'm at 900. I'm at like 1,000. I'm at 900. I'm at kind of 900. Then I'm at like 850. Now I'm at like 700. Because the size of the chamber is expanding and it's losing heat as it moves. So, I got a little oomph, a little double pump to it. Depending on how you decide to do it and your air and fuel ratios, you can get a little bit more of a bump at that bottom end. But the real thing is, I'm not really trying to do much. I'm just trying to gain a little. You have to remember that. Right. Yeah, that's all that is. Just a little. It's a little. It's just a little bump in the PSI. Huh. So I'm playing around with things. Really? Yeah, I'm playing around with stuff. I hate the way it's working out currently. Like, I thought I'd get more out of this. This is annoying me. Like, this is genuinely like garbage. What? I mean, everybody else would totally love it. It's fucking amazing. Like, way better fuel efficiency, way more fucking horsepower, way more torque, like across the board. But not for me. It's not enough, and you'll see why. Because I'm always like that. It's like, okay, so where do I go with this? How do I fucking do that? How am I doing this? What is this? No, I don't want to use that. No, that's not okay. That's not gonna work. That doesn't even do anything. That's not a thing. And so I'm running over everything I know. Every single part, every single thing, every single bit of physics, every bit of ways to be able to increase PSI sustained over time. And so it's like, you know what? Just because I have a double pump doesn't mean I can't do something way better here. And a lot of people probably won't even understand this one. But there are these things called neon transformers. They're incredibly terrifying pieces of kit for anyone that knows about electricity and how easily it can kill you. So it's like if you set it up and you turn that gas that's very hot, very pressurized, into something special called a plasma, it destabilizes and rips off the chemical connections. And I'm spending a little bit of energy to do it. And it's like, yeah, no, I've got a turbo here. It's like, I don't really want that fucker to spin up to this amount of RPM because that's the amount of RPM that makes the PSI I want. That's all I need. Put the spring valve on, make sure it's roughly the amount that I need. Yeah, just in case. No reason not to. Then I suck the rest of that energy into a DC motor. I use my alternator DC motor, or DC generator, sorry, you know, and I get a little bit more out of that. It creates the necessary resistance. Once it's spun up to the right side or amount of RPM, the clutch engages, the alternator engages, the other alternator engages, and a little amplifier, little circuitry, and I have a way of generating plasma inside of my fucking cylinder. A couple bits more of circuitry later, hook it up to my direct injector, I charge it as it fires in, and now I'm giving it back the electricity, or the electrons really, that I just lost. Which is a good thing. I want that. And now I just destabilized all the fuel and air, broke it down into air, carbon, nitrogens, and hydrogens. Some of it landed in the sides of the cylinder wall. It's not going to stay there very long because I'm switching it from being a plasma back to they call it a star charger. I know it's a plasma generator, but it's a star charger to me. Because I'm creating, technically, in that environment, the way I want to do it, is an overpressure, overheat situation that's only going to last for a short period of time. Because I'm immediately injecting pretty soon after. And so I want to create mostly a destabilized, incredibly exothermic reactive environment. And you can run electricity through fuel. Guarantee you that. And all you need is the right electrodes around it. Because it's like, hey, I don't need to make the injector have electricity in it. And I don't need the gas to have electricity in it. No. I have an electrode that's around that injector that then allows for it to fire off the correct amount of electrons that are going to arc together with the fuel. Because it's fairly close and works out that way. That drops it from trying to be a plasma. It excites the fuel massively, massively increases the heat of the fuel. Plasmaing, somewhat, but not really. It's not there. That's the best part. I don't need to use that much electricity. I only need to have it run for a while. Everybody's like, you need to arc the shit out of this fuel. I'm like, no, you don't get it. You don't get it. Shh. Hold on. You're not creative here. I've thought about this for a long ass time. It's been a really hard endeavor to make this thing work. And I mean that. So, as the exothermic reaction starts to take hold, but it's like it's not going to for a while. It's too fucking hot. It's too hot. Like it needs to collapse all those electrons. It needs to cool off a little bit. It needs to, all this stuff. Then it needs to create the exothermic reaction because we have electrons transferring, which I just added and dumped a bunch of them out. And dumped a bunch, added, or whichever one it is. I forget. Sorry. I just know that this works. And so it's like, as the air, which we now freed up, and a bunch of carbon and nitrogen, which is basically separated, gets added with a bunch of hydrocarbons, of which are going to be like, oh my god! Bang, baby! And I mean that. They are. Like, they're dancing around. Boom! What the fuck happened? Where's that? Holy fuck! I need electrons! Anything! And then it's like, hey, baby, Boom! You think you've got this done? Dancing. Oh, you're leaving dancing. Oh, you're leaving dancing. Oh, you're leaving dancing, dancing. Oh, you're leaving and dancing, 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 dancing. Because that's what you're doing. It takes a while for it to combine. It takes a lot of time. In fact, I got so much heat in there, so much fucking problematic issues. I'm just gonna rip it from the walls. The carbon and the nitrogen it tried to fucking steal. And it's gonna combine the oxygen wonderfully, I might add, with nitrogen explosively decompressing. And then we also have loose nitrogen bonds in carbons and oxygens, which is effectively another explosive compound. Now, instead of injecting it at for a little bit of this, a quarter of the way down, maybe eighth, I'm getting a little extra pressure. I'm gonna start this about, halfway, maybe a quarter, maybe, a little after a quarter, that kind of thing. Turn it into a plasma. I'm blow the shit out of it up with fuel and electrons, more or less, pumped in. And so it's like that extra remaining energy I didn't get is getting turned into electricity. And now I'm getting it back in the form of useful motion. I've made it more efficient. And I got reductions of nitric oxides and other harmful particulate matter. As it's so hot, it breaks bonds. Basically, is the equivalent of what they use for. Wait for it. Garbage incinerators. But because we are tailoring the fuel such a way that it is not going to make particulate matters as much, in fact, if at all, now I don't have the issue with particulate matters in any way. Or nitric oxides, really. It's just too hot for them to really form, even though that there is pressure. Now, the next step is what occurs. I have still much hotter exhaust gases. In fact, I sustained a higher degree of exothermic pressure reaction because it's pressurized reactions, exothermic reactions, and a more dense air than the plasma and the original exhaust combustion gases because I added in more fuel. I had it combined better. I increased the amount of heat, increased the amount of sustained, continued heat. Now, I got what I'm looking for. It's basically like a supercharger turbo using electricity, which is highly efficient. And it definitely removes your nitric oxides and really just clean powers it to carbon dioxide and carbon. Really, monoxides, truthfully. There's a lot of carbon monoxides than anything else. Really? Yeah, well, comparison wise. Because it's like, hey, a lot of these carbons decided to break a fuck ton and then combine only with one carbon and oxygen because like that's the fastest they could get anything done. But there is a good amount of carbon dioxide. There is a little bit of nitric oxide left, almost none. There are literally no particulate matter things at all. And it's highly, in every single way, more efficient as an engine, especially at the top end. So I can add in more air or fuel if I want to, but I can't Because it's like for that brief period of time, it was almost at top dead center pressure again. If you don't know, like it's going to start around the 800 psi range, which is roughly about a quarter of the way down, you know, and then it's a plasma, and it's still opening, you know, increasing the chamber size volume. And then I'm turning it back down into a regular ass, just extremely hot gas. Which hot gas is incredibly good to have because that's a pressure vessel that just got way hotter. And so as it sustains its heat, it's going to actually give you a better bang for the buck for your fuel. So I don't need to add more fuel. I don't need to add more air anymore. I need to add electricity in the right way and time it the right way. I have what is considered effectively a star charger, as I call it. But no, they actually use this for other applications if you don't know, to turn a hot gas into a plasma. They actually use that for a good damn reason. Yeah. It's pretty much the same reason. It's to increase pressure for a temporary amount of time to gain efficiency back from their movement. So that's all I'm using it. They already have it for other things. Really? Yes. Well, I don't really want to tell them though. I mean, they should know what it is if they're so smart and better than me. But yes, actually, they do use that for incinerators and recycling material. You don't know. But there is another very specific application that I use this from that I remember finding. Well, they used it for one of those documentary things. They talked about it. I was watched back in the day, and I was like, huh, why would they use that for this? It's like, because it would melt the engine. I'm like, nah, well, maybe if you do it the right way, but I don't have to go that hard on it. Yeah, amplifiers. So shut up. Yes, but yes. I know what you're doing. They're terrified. And I'm like, yeah, no, whatever. I don't care. To me, it's like this is basically turning a regular engine into what is effectively a hyper efficient engine. Yeah, yeah, no. Because I can still two stroke that. And then there's still the fact that, like, I can just reduce a shit ton of it if I want to. Because it's like, hey, so there's this thing called hydrothermal pyrolysis. Organic waste, like compost, shit in the damn bucket too. Really? Mm-hmm. Put some polyethylene plastics and stuff inside of it. You get octanes, ethanols, and diesels out of it. The Department of Energy is currently doing experimental research, and by experimental research, it's really just like it's done. And you can use sticks and grass. You break it down the right way, you can use that. Now I'm reducing my overhead and fuel costs. Not tremendously, but it's still something. So I'm able to make it sustain itself a little better. Not much, but it's something. Because I made it more efficient to using more of the heat from the exhaust transformed into electricity being used to increase the amount of gained horsepower and torque. I've made it more efficient by far, which is a good thing. It's a positive. You need that. I don't even necessarily need the Stirlings or the turbines to turn into electricity, although I could do that if I had the right fucking stuff, truthfully, yeah. But, as a prototype, it's not that hard to yank this shit out and make it work. It's really not. at all. It's like, it's not efficient for you. It's like, yeah, no, I mean, it's not in the 90%, but it's still 50. It's in the 50s. It's like up in the 50s, yeah. Should be right around that time, right around that point, yeah. Should be in the 50s. And I increased my red line. Yeah. Well, by a long way, yeah. Really? Yeah, because I'm basically creating a detonation. Almost. Yeah, almost. It's not a detonation, but it's almost like a detonation. I'm increasing the heat and pressure like it's a detonation, but it's not. It's like, you didn't increase pressure. I'm like, you did not listen to the entire thing, did you? No. I came over after I heard about a plasma creator. Go away. So, but that's what that is. It's literally just a star charger. I call it a star charger because it charges up. It's charged up a battery, and it creates what is effectively something as hot as the surface temperature, or even hotter than the sun. And then it rapidly decides to decompose and have exothermic reactions that are actually cooling it. You know what I mean? Which is the better part of this design. See, the gas is massively colder than what's inside of it. And the exothermic reactions didn't change it into a plasma. So I'm actually sucking heat into those exothermic reactions, but sustaining that heat that is allowing for the decomposition of the gases created into being used for a increase of sustained pressure over time, and increasing the pressure initially almost to the point where it would be a detonation wave. And as a result, I have gained a large amount of extra torque, and by extension, because with RPM, I get horsepower. I turn a gasoline engine into something with inline four injectors that are way smaller, way less pressure, putting out more torque at a fucking 1,000 RPM than any diesel would ever do. But I can still use diesel to make this work. Like, you use it on anything, truthfully. Because I'm using less energy to compress like a diesel because of the compression ratio, I actually have more efficiency. So it's a pretty decent design. It's a nice prototype. It's like, when do I get to do it? And it's like, whenever you can get money, I guess, and fucking time and the tools and all the fuck off. Fine. You know what I mean? It's like, that's the thing. Like, this is why it's like creative, intelligent people don't always get ahead, man. Sometimes they have fucking problems mentally. Sometimes the world is a cruel joke against them. Sometimes a tortured genius is an actual trope that exists. I know you don't like it, but it's a thing. You know. Yeah, no kidding, right? He's still going off. Yeah, tortured genius. Now I'm not going to agree with all this cool engine stuff that I totally fell in love with you over. Yeah, you said this? No. No. Now you're in the upper. You're not a Democrat. You're not a libertarian. Blah, 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 blah. Top left. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The fucking, the four square, thing. Anyways, you get it. He's like, come on, we need electric motors and all this other stuff. And I'm like, I've got to be really brutally honest here. You guys are kind of dumb to think that the American public wants to immediately invest hundreds of billions, if not like more, into changing all of the roads into being more sustained by solar panels and wind that allows for them to charge as they go by using electromagnetic charging, then reducing outright amounts of roads throughout cities, and instead favoring buses, which use electric motors, which can be connected to lines above or below in the road, and sustained by changing out the entirety of the buildings to be more self-sustainable by better air flow improvements and insulation and solar windows and more efficient radiative designs and cooling. It's nice, but we're talking hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars. And I would love to. I'm right there with you. I have electric motor designs. I do. I've talked about them. I have on my other recordings that are on Google Drive. And that's the fact. No, you don't. Where are this? Xenon reality, idiot. Ugh. Go on my Twitter. I'm sure you can find one of the links. One of the many, many links I posted about it. Have fun. But the basic concept is they're smaller coils wrapped together, wrapped around, sorry, a particular, again, it's another type of weird chain linkage design, the 3D printing this. What? Yeah. Now you have to 3D print it. It's like a metamaterial, is what I talk about. But those coils work in layers and are copper coils, regular ass copper coils, that happen to be set the correct direction to push it one direction more, the field this is, and combine their fields in a spiked way and be able to rotate it in a very, very accurate, within like a couple 16th, or I'm sorry, a few millimeters to a millimeter or less amount. Very strong, very pointed, still has an electromagnetic field behind it. Couldn't get around that, but I don't really care because that doesn't really matter. That basically means I only need about that amount of distance to go, and then now I can do it on the other side. And I can compactify. Now the chain link material is its own kind of a coil design. It creates a spin when you apply the electric charge to it, and a directionality, creating its own regular ass ferromagnetic material that switches off once the electromagnetic field is removed and the electricity running through it is removed. But yeah, yeah, I know, right? They always like, you don't have nothing, and I'm like, put it into a radial axial flux design. So it's like radial, wonderful, I love it. I can put it in a tube, put them together. Then if I put in something that can be attracted and removed, as in like, hey, I put like a little bit of a thing on the leading edge every single step of the way, and a little bit of a thing, and then it's like, oh, I'm going to attract, and then it's like going to turn off this side, and then it's going to immediately turn the electromagnetics on the other side, and I get a railgun coil gun that's automatic. I don't have to program nothing. It's just series of switches, and stop interrupting. A series of switches and detectors that allow the electricity to move within those very many amounts of electromagnetic repulsion and attraction points, like many spokes on a gear that can be incredibly strong, depending on the amount of electricity you want to put through it. And you don't necessarily need that much cooling, it turns out, because you don't have to use that much electricity when it's combined with all the coils together, and so therefore manage the heat easier. Now, I have a design which basically puts a bunch of slots onto rods. As you spin up, I'm going to push these hydraulic rams on this sliding, rail with some bearings. Yeah, it's pretty simple. And they go closer to the center of rotation. As it spins up, it becomes easier to spin it faster. Because the tubes are hollow, it's easy enough to put electricity points into the same kind of similar material, not the same material though, as the circle in the center. Yeah, pretty much. It's just that's literally what it would be. It's two sides, material. It goes down, slides together, and then I have a tube within a tube, which is axle. It's pretty easy. Yeah, it's a tube within a tube. It does tube within a tube stuff. So it's an axle flux stuff connected to the radial part. So it's an axial radial flux that is able to maintain higher RPM, less actual amount of energy used. Air cooled, pretty simple, pretty compact. Meanwhile, I look at the jokesters in Ivy League colleges and schools and I go, idiosas. Really? You believe that gobbledygookity crappity shit? Your professors aren't even that creative to have thought about this. They're just trying to teach you the basics. You're the one that has to do the work, to think about things outside of it, to connect multiple puzzle pieces together from multiple fields of study in together. Material design sciences, electronic designs, technology, engineering, gearing, leverages, physics, thermodynamics. Huh. Seems an awful lot like you don't think very far past outside your PhD. Mm. Just leave us alone. I'm bored with that though. Really? Yeah, because the design's great. If I'm honest, the design is easy to make. I for like a wheel hub motor for like a regular bike, standard. Maybe it's a bigger one, 2,000 watt or something instead of my like 500 watt one. Which even the 500 watt design itself, size wise, would literally be able to pull like a fucking car up to like 30 miles an hour or some shit. Like a standard Honda Civic. Four grand, pounds, that is, which is disturbing. Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, because they're cool and because I don't need the necessary amount of heat. And so it's like as it spins, it's actually creating its own air currents. So I have technically like a fan. So I'm losing a little bit of energy, but whatever. No way you could know this. It's the outright amount of magnetic flux that I'm able to achieve past the design of a standard iron nitrate magnet battery. And coil electric motor. And it's all because of the little material that could, as I'm creating a spin and another increased electromagnetic field, of which, depending on the amount of electricity pumped through it, because I only need to do it for a short period of time, I can dump a lot more electricity through it for a short period of time than as if I were to try and sustain it, creating incredibly high Tesla, in the 3 Tesla range. In a very small area, too, for a very short period of time, creating a massively advantaged design. And I've already talked about this. It's already on my Google Drive. Fucking okay. What about your battery design? I don't want to talk about it. Really? Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Why? It's a garbage design. Doesn't work anymore? No, it still works. I'm still getting like a few Yada watts per cubic centimeter now. It's fine. I don't believe you, but whatever. It's garbage though. They can't produce it right now. I'd have to wait for another 20 years or something. Fuck off. 20? You have 20 years. I mean, 20? Yeah. And I'm like, what can I do now with what it is I know here? Really? Yeah, because I'm gonna start using certain things that other people hate. The quantum phenomenon, and they don't like it. Really? Yeah, it's a whole thing. I have to start turning a quantum. I have to start turning the quantum fields around us. The wave fluctuations that seem to not be there, but they're there. And basically suck them in and use that for a design as a battery to increase potential because it's the same design as my laser design or laser focal point flashlight thing that I talked about earlier. Which it's like the world's most powerful handheld laser by Styro Pyro. And I'm like, oh yeah, I know that thing on the fucking drive. It's like 1.3 million watts sustained. Fucking no. And I'm like, yeah, I know. Why would you do that? And it's like, oh well, that was a whole thing. Yeah, no, I later turned it into it. Yeah. I was like, I need to increase massive amounts of heat pressure here and like quantum wave collapse to basically make like my fusion engine design work better. That is kind of the only thing I can think about using it for, because otherwise it's just like a stupidly hot point. It's just not helping. And I'm like, yeah, it's almost embarrassing how useless it is, even though it's a wonderful technology, in terms and point of, it's a show off a concept, a principle that is now the Lemke principle that I call it, of a Bernoulli's design to quantum wave fluctuation movements and superpositional wave entanglement collapse. All things known about, by the way. But it's my principle. So, yeah. But I need to turn it into something that actually makes sense for the use of batteries. So, and if I can manage to create what is effectively a field interactional profile, then every time entanglement, no, just collapse. Just a collapse. Yeah, it just collapses. So what is this, like a fusion reactor or something? No, no, it's converting. It's converting a certain number, and it's the same principle. It's a Lemke principle. Yeah, yeah. It's a using fields create a Lemke principle to collapse more electrons into it. Yeah, but it's not working right now. So I pop it up and then I hit it with a bunch of fields, and then it's like, oh my god, I'm a shit ton of electrons. And then it's like, boom, and then it's like, now I'm a fuck ton more electrons. But it's just a converter process, and I don't like it because it's not really a battery. It's just an amplifier circuit. Oh, sure. Just give us like an amazing amplifier, right? You know, just whatever. Fuck off, bitch. It's terrible design. Really is highly inefficient. I have to burn so much fuel to make it work. Yeah, produces so much heat. Really? Yeah, because the fields create resistances around them, and you make them micro fields that are incredibly powerful. It's all kind of a bunch of garbage after a certain point. Really? Yeah. What did it lead to? Oh, that one. Yeah, no, see, this is where I got the battery that I'm actually working on, which is this other thing. I can't tell you about that because that's my own battery tech. But I'll tell you about this super neat what we can design that is, I guess, okay. It's whatever. It's all right. So, you know these things called like, what is that? Is that sodium and fluoride? Is it, you can create that with fusion, right? And it's like, yeah, no. I think the stars around us do it. Hmm. Anyways, there's this other thing called like, the fuck is that? Is that sulfur? Wait, no. That's not sulfur, is it? Is that potassium? Wait, no, that's not a potassium. Which one is that? The little fucker wiggling around. Which one is that? I'll be right back. I have to pee. Whoops. You know, you'll come with me for peeing. We'll test the distance that I can still attach my microphone from my Bluetooth hearing aid. Because it uses the microphone on my hearing aid and it uses Bluetooth to transfer the whole thing. Although I'm quite far away from the phone right now, if I'm honest. Yeah. You're about to hear me pee, folks. You are. I'm in the restroom. You are. It's about to happen. Skip forward. There it is. So what I was thinking about was like potassium chlorides or sulfur iodines solutions and crystal formations with a very highly specific printed carbon structure around it. Like think photolithography, 100 nanometers or something. Not much extreme. Like they probably have those laying in the background for cheap for like a couple million or something. But we have 3D printers. Really? Yeah. They're chloride solutions. Yeah, potassium chlorides or sulfur iodines that are in a lattice structure that happen to be, um, supported and surrounded under pressure. If we're being honest, not really, but I guess you could say that's true. Considering when the heat happens to happen, electron movement. Yeah, yeah. So, anyways, but basically, it's small packs of these things that are surrounded by cages, and then creating what is effectively photolithography. Um, uh, what is that called again? MOSFET, something like that. Like it just allows for a lot of current and energy potential. Right, to transfer over like a larger, so it's like a 3D design. Yeah, no, because like I need charge fields or electromagnetic field potential differences inside the design to be able to allow for it to move over a distance instead of creating little tiny micro wires which will never handle the temperatures or the electrons going through them. So I was like, oh, electromagnetic fields would be better. Potentials dump and then enter based upon that. But it's like, oh, yeah, no, I can't do that quite as easily as you think. And it's like, yeah, yeah, that's kind of my problem right now. What? No, no, it's not as very, it's not very good. It's a garbage design that I have right now. That's why I said it's like, yeah, it's okay. It would work. It'd be far better in every aspect, denser, more amps, more currents, more volts, probably in the terawatt range for like a 400 mile per hour, Tesla battery. And it's garbage in every way. Why? Well, I'm refining the design as we speak, so that way it's actually feasible. Because it's dangerous right now, if you don't know. Really? Yeah, no, it's stupidly dangerous, baby. Anything nicks this fucker, it's gonna drain massive amounts out of its Faraday cage into anything that's around. There's a big melty puddle of metal over there. Ah! A single car crash would unleash hell. Where's the lightning coming from? Oh, someone crashed their Limke mobile. I have better names than that. Don't even. I have the bullseye based upon a certain engine that I have. Oh yeah, yeah, it looks great. Honestly, I don't want to get into that right now though. Anyways, so right now it's very dangerous, extremely. What about the materials? The materials are fine. They're inert. It doesn't matter. It's the amount of electricity, and it will basically burn the materials to send the electricity somewhere because like it's a lot of heat potential. Right. So it's melting both ways, pretty much. Yeah. So it's like I need to refine this design so that way I don't have terawatts of electricity suddenly dump into anything around it. Mm. Ah, it's terrible. There's a reason why I called it terrible. I'm like, this is no way in hell. Why would we ever do that? And I'm like, because it's terawatts of electricity. And effectively, the same thing as a Tesla battery pack for 400 miles range. And it weighs less. Yeah, it does weigh less too, actually. Yes. Well, I can't dump it into the same amount of like ginormous cables. I don't even need that amount of cable. I mean, I have a battery pack that has terawatts, so I almost never need to charge it. And then like once, and you'd be pretty much done for the entire length of the vehicle's lifetime. It's rechargeable. So, but anyways, I have an electric motor that can just dump, because especially if I scale it to like, I've got my one single plat engine 4 times in a row here. I'm Elon Musk for every wheel. I'm like, that's neat, Elon. Come on, man. It's nice. Okay, whatever. I have one. It outputs more than all 4 of yours combined. I'm going to stick it in the front. So it looks like an engine. I'm going to shove a battery that can kill everyone in like a city radius, right? A few blocks. A few blocks. I mean, it's just going to target one thing and kill whatever that is. What's that over there? You're dead now. And I'm like, it's exactly right. That's what it would do. It would vaporize the shit out of it, turn it into plasma, probably move on to something else. Yeah. So it's done. There's just like no way of turning that off. Oh, no. So instead, we're going to make smaller packs. And we don't need that much range. We're talking, we're talking like a million miles on a single battery. We don't need that. It's like, oh, it has to fit this size. I have terawatts. Terawatts. I wouldn't use that for my big, like, power facility at all. No, I would use it in my car for some reason. It fits. If you're willing to do with, like, a thing. No. Get out of here, you. Get out of here. Let's make smaller packs. That's what the problem was? Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, pretty much. Bury them in that vehicle. Yeah, yeah, just lots of stuff around it. Done. Okay, yeah, I suppose that works. That's a decent way of getting around it. So there, this, which one's better? Uh, sulfur iodine. Sulfur iodine's the best one. Iodine, whatever, you know. You have fluorine? Uh, yes, and a new design I'm working on. I do. Yeah, yeah. Well, no, that's a thing. I was trying to get around the whole zappity doodah thing. So it's like there's this fluorine that likes to move around in the design. It is an active movement profile instead of just staying still. Wait, what? Yeah, it's an active movement profile. So it's like it's moving, to and from somewhere, and like it basically creates what is effectively one singular connection point to allow for a pulse of the MOSFET kind of electromagnetic field differentials. It just does it really fast. And it's not actually very warm because it dumps its heat so fast. Electricity doesn't, the electron pretty much, it's just going really, really, really fast. It does it so soon, so quickly that it doesn't have time yet to do anything. So, uh, it, and so it's another lattice structure, but there's like a bunch of them all around, like a 9 by 9 square. And so they go, and the one in the middle, like that's like, basically not there. Wait, what? Yeah, it's not there. It's like, hey, do you guys see me? And we're like, sure, no. What? Why? It's like, well, so, huh. Why? Why would it do that? Uh, so that one has a fuck ton of problems going on with it. That's how I designed it. Yeah, it's like, hey, so when I design this, I'm going to destroy all these things around me. Connected. It's because it's like, oh, hey, guess what? This thing, which is like how you view me, right? That's why I designed it that way. 'Cause it's like, I'm going to make a joke one that's based upon how you view me, which is not accurate at all. Ugh! And so it's like, this thing has too many electrons. All the time, everywhere, all at once. All the time, everywhere, all at once. Did I? No. Yeah, I did. Wait. Huh? Meanwhile, with the fluorine. Sound familiar, folks? It's like, but that's not the truth. See, it's never really got anything. It's not even there. What? It's never there. It's a field created by all the 9 around it, which is really not 9. It's the box. So it's trapped in basically what means it's not there, it doesn't exist, but it looks like it does exist. It looks like it's a real thing, but it's not. It's a vacuum particle design. Yeah. It's a bunch of fields set up because I layered the right, amount of iodine and sulfur and the carbon structures around it in a vacuum. And then once I add the fluorine and then have the little electromagnetic, thing, right, then creates a very pocketed dimensional aspect to their fields that looks like there's something there, but there's nothing there. Which is more referencing you fucks than me. And that's the only way it works. Literally. Same thing with the assholes, in the past that I talked about earlier. Right, the Chandler House? No, this one's different. This one is before the universe began, and there was actually a reality, and many realities, and many matrices, and many universes, but there really weren't that many people, unfortunately. But that's a good thing, because honestly speaking, honey, that would have been really rough. Yeah. But the point is, that's what that is. It's basically them being sucked out the energy. And so it's kind of like the battery I was talking about with the amplificatory system. But like that vacuum creates a little bit of a vacuum particle. Is it a vacuum? Well, it's in a vacuum. It's quasi-particles, really, that I'm allowing to basically be in like this small little state. They kind of get trapped. I'm always dying, though. And because of the iodine and everything else, it's like, I'm bumping electron. Oh, is there electron there? I'm now here. Go. But it's like, no, because it's like, I'm not there. You see? That's the problem. It's like, I was here, but now I'm not. And I'm here, and I'm not. Pretty much always. Seriously, that's literally all it does constantly. And how does that? It stores a certain potential charge in the fields, which means it stores a certain amount of all the time. It just gets more. And it goes. And it stops. This takes a really long time. A really long time, yeah. Like an incredibly long time. I can pour a fuck ton. Not Yadawats now. I wish. Yeah, I mean, technically. Yeah, see, that's the problem. There are field interactions that you must be aware of that start occurring. It'll create a bomb if you put too much energy into it. Seriously. I mean it. You add energy in, the field potentials get so massive it actually does collapse things where that is, and then everything else gets squished, and then boom, everything suddenly has a lot of energy, a lot of quarks, and a lot of electrons, and a lot of neutrons, and a lot of anything that it could fucking make as fast as possible, and it goes boom. But if you maintain it below a certain point, it's fine. So what's the point that you can't do it? Well, that's where it suddenly becomes vastly easier to suddenly put more in. Yeah, this is the best part about this design. It's like, it's a little hard right now, and then it gets a little less, and then it gets a little less, and it's like, whoa, holy fuck. Okay, we went past, just drain it. Like, it takes a little bit longer after that, but like, drain it. The moment you get to that point, drain it. And I don't care what circuitry you got to do, just fucking never allow it to go too far for that. But then you're creating a bunch of bombs everyone has. It's also another reason why my design is garbage. That's true, yeah. It's like, oh, yatawatts of energy. Yeah, that would be so good. Oh, you say it's garbage though. You don't want it. Oh, no, I do. Okay, I'm gonna let you know. Oh God, I'd never want that. Told you. Told you. Still, it's a pretty decent design. Honestly, yes. Like, it's not a bad design. Like we use it for my spaceship stuff, my intergalactic engine stuff. If I'm honest, yeah, yeah, because like heat, it'll take heat. It'll take heat all day, every day. It's fine with very high heats. Really? Yeah, and so like I just fucking and I can surround it with my you know a little micro nano size steam fluid whatever engine things just pump in energy. So like it's not that bad. It's basically a version of a metamaterial. Plus it's so thick as a result of that and things can hit it and reflect and all that. So makes it more efficient, captures heat pretty effectively, makes electricity work pretty darn well in the engine. It's just it can never go past a certain point. We have very, very hardcore, very redundant, not easy ever to fuck around with electricity and circuitry. Electronics and circuitry. That's what we need. Really. I was like, I'm not ever fucking designing this without like hardcore fucking safety measures in place. Seriously, otherwise it's like a fucking nova, like a supernova bomb. Like literally, I trap some of this stuff in. It continues running for too long. The heat gets unstable. The electricity builds up to the right point. Anything around it's gonna die. So we're always attached to a bomb, anyways. Why not make it extra bomby? Exactly. Yeah. They're not right. It's like, okay, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Truthfully, yeah, yeah. No, it's standard protocol to dump any necessary to replace engine parts for the bigger intergalactic engine, or even the smaller ones. You know, into a star. It'll survive just fine. It's like just go in there, boom. I saw a pressure wave. Yeah, yeah. I did. I saw a pressure wave on the fucking surface. That's terrifying. There's a dent. There's a little bit of a dent. Yes. Bombing our sun. It's fine though. Really? Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we're talking billions of years. You know. So I'm sure you can find another star to dump it into. It's fine. Black hole will do too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's fine. There's no issues there. It's just like, if you want to make it for like a car, oh no, 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 we'd use the yottawatt, no, the terawatt, yeah. We use the terawatt, yeah. Definitely using the terawatt. There's no way we'd ever use the yottawatt. Even the terawatt, it's like, yeah, it's just because it's like, I calculated that. I calculated that for you. You have a pretty small battery here. Weighs a hell of a lot less than, especially with your engine, which you don't need it to be that big. One the size of a flat engine in the front, down low, close to the firewall, connected with a basic transfer box. Yeah, yeah, torque vectoring system like in a Mitsubishi Evo. So yeah. It's like this is More power than all of the four fucking plaid size engine? Yeah, electric motors, yeah. And it's much more efficient. Remarkably more efficient. Yeah. Really? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Far more efficient. How much more efficient? By about 90% more efficiency for the amount of energy needed to make momentum or a thing move. 90% less. Fucking asshole. It's like, here's a battery, even if it was like a plaid. That would take a plaid for the size of a pillow here. A small briefcase, basically. That could go 1,000, 1,200 miles, something like that, you know? Get out of here. And he's like, yeah, no, but by the way, it uses 90% less energy to make the same power. Okay. Which now, like, just, it's around the world a couple times. No, 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 it's not that far. Get out of here, you. That's defeatist. That'd be impossible. It's not around the world, right? It's not. No. A couple times. I have to wonder now. I actually have to because it's like 90% less energy than a Tesla flat, making one, so it's four times the energy, four times the power for 90% less energy. No, 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 because I said it would be using 90%. Oh yeah, no, you're right. Actually, that's true. That does work out that way. Let's go look at that. Give me a second. I'll let you know what the real thing is. I look at that in my head. Yeah, it's been a while. Shit, it's been a long time. Huh. Right, because I modeled it off of that, and I only need like these amounts, and so there's a result of this amount and these interactions. And I need only this amount of energy, and I'm able to make it so that way it doesn't actually even use that amount of energy. It's only going to start up, and then it changes and allows for a continuation of efficiency energy potentials over time by allowing for that to remain and actually use that. And then along with the gain of momentum as it goes over, because it wants to reduce the resistance of change of motion by using this principle and technique. Because it interacts appropriately for that, making it far more efficient as a result. Acting as if it's a much larger, heavier design, like a flywheel battery. Then it gains, because of the quantum field interactions, another bit of energy for the amount of energy I'm putting in. Quite a bit, actually. Yeah, same thing, yeah. So then the amount of electricity start, and then after that it dramatically reduces actual amounts of energy by about 92.8. That is not right. 99.98%. 99.98% of energy is necessary. And I'm getting an amplificatory process. It should mean it actually wants to speed up. So we actually just start sucking energy out after a certain point, even if it will eventually slow down. It just takes a fuck ton of time. See here. So we drain that, and then we have to put it back into itself. So that way you don't actually lose that energy because the battery can't store it. So I just move it to somewhere else on the other side very quickly and allow for it to hop and switch as it needs to. And it loses a little bit of energy. More efficient though. Yeah. See here. What was that piece again? The relay splitter problem. Yeah, we started thinking about conversions of particles. We started converting particles because it was going to start creating particles after a certain point. And you convert that with the right charge field. Yeah, spin effect. Yeah. And so we started doing this one, which is, what is that again? It's been a while. Yeah, fuck. Is it collapse? No, it's not collapse. It's actually a bloom. Yeah, bloom? Yeah. Boom. Like that. Yeah, it's like, oh, a bunch of fucking wave fluctuation. Here's energy for you that you'll use. So there's nothing saying I can't use the same effect as the Yadabot. Yeah, it's true, yes. Oh, okay. But you don't really do that. Yeah, because it wants to collapse almost immediately with the copper wires and coils, yeah. Yeah, just dump more electricity into it. That's immediate conversion. Pretty efficient too. I only lose like 0.002% of conversion for that. And then so this amount of 5 volts, 1 amp will get me 2400 horsepower. Yay! 2400 horsepower for 5 volts. What amp? My briefcase. My briefcase is like, yes, no, but you know, I mean, what's wrong with doing? We have 4 times that, so 20 volts and 4 amps for 4 times the power. You know, it's not that bad. You know, yeah, no, basically, roughly 24 volts, 5 amps, 6 amps, something like that, right? Kind of the same thing that most people will use. Yeah, smaller, but you know. Yeah, there's electricity, there's drain, it's not perfectly you know, it's roughly 20 and you know all that. So it should be 4 times roughly, right? Yeah, you know, it is. It isn't. It's a little more actually. Conversion rates are a bitch to deal with. Seriously, yeah, we have too much of an amplificatory effect, which makes it so it's kind of wanting to overrun and go further than it should. And we have a little extra heat, cooling problem, sucking in heat to turn into electrons. So that's the problem we're having. So as a result, so 24 times 4, we'll just do that. Basic math, yeah, 8, 4 times, so it says 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9, 96, right? 96,000 horsepower. Yeah. With quite a bit of torque, you know. Right, well, you know, it's more torque, I would say, because we're talking about wattage output. Right. Yes. No, because it's equivalent of 2,400 horsepower wattage. Ah, this is what we use for conversion. Right. At about an immediate, gunk, like you want to spin something. So we don't do that, and we have to input a decent amount of voltage, and then it drains off and then it just sustains itself for quite a while. So, what made you think I want 9,600 horsepower? People need to have personal flying vehicles. That's what they wanted. That's what it was designed for, if I'm honest. It was like, oh yeah, no, electric vehicles, whatever. I can make that in my sleep. That's simple. It's easy as fuck for me to do that now. The easiest part is like, hey, that thing on my bike, if I scale it up, because that's like a 500 watt, electric motor, wheel hub motor. It's not that hard. And I can basically scale that up to about like 20 inches. Hell, I don't even need that. I make that. I make 3 packs of that 500 watt size design, which is like 5 inches diameter. I'm able to make a vehicle move to 120 miles an hour easy. So, uh, so it's personal flying vehicles, everyone. Yeah, I see. And what was your? Oh, I wanted to use it for my turboprop design. I wanted to make electric planes. That's the whole point. I was like, I need sustainable electric planes. You guys deal with your chump change on the ground. I'm going to the skies and beyond. I'm not even kidding. That was literally what I went and did. It was like, ding, 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 ding. Why does it have a sound? Because I can put a thing on it that makes a diaphragm sound. So otherwise it just goes, whoosh, and that's kind of boring. But then, it's kind of boring. I want to ning 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 ning. Like right here. But the point is like I did get that, and it's like, yeah, but it's not really all that sustainable, is it? I have a problem. The faster the rate of speed in travel, the greater conversion of the quantum field effect that I end up getting. So it gets more efficient as a design. Yeah, so that's why I designed the jet engine, like the multi-stage, like ramjet fusion kind of thing, like a while back. Right, yeah, so the jet engine that goes in separates it into a compressed area with the exhaust and the turboprop and the speed adding together, compressing a, another version of your plasma effect and in inertial confinement, but more particle accelerator inertial confinement, electromagnetic squeeze popping off, creating your ginormous plume of fusion with a little bit of hydrogen, actually most of the hydrogen's remaining. I'm just adding heat as a plasma, basically like the engine I was just talking about earlier. Like some of it does fuse though, so it's like you have to remember that. Exactly, yeah. But then it's like I'm putting liquid nitrogen because nitrogen, and then like an oxygen separator and then a nitrogen separator using, basic filtration because it's so cold, up there in the upper atmospheres. And then like a basic refrigerant had more than enough electricity being made from engines that I was talking about. Then it's like, oh yeah, no, I have liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen. Yes, yes, yeah. It's and on purpose. It's supposed to go into space. So like as a nitrogen, you've all heard it. Yeah, no. You know what that fucking engine is. That one really popped off. He was like, oh yeah, no. So I'm just injecting plasma in the center. Yeah, I know that one was kind of hard to deal with. Truthfully, I had to particle accelerate it so fucking fast, but it's only because of the rotation of the two engines. Yeah, which is like God. Yeah, no, that fucker. Zzz, and then boom, and point it that way, and hang on. Jeez, I know, right? It's like when you need to get way too much. Yeah, and then the nitrogen comes down and it mixes. Yes, because I actually need that cone of liquid nitrogen expanding very cold gas in that little afterburner chamber that's like got mostly the hot plasma in the center, and then like it's very very hot towards the center, and so but it's a relatively fast velocity, Mach 12, but like particle accelerating plasma isn't impossible to do. I have these very fast rotating engines. We're talking 500,000, 100,000 RPMs. And then if I just design that correctly, I can just grab plasma and shove it forward. But it's like, no. I need to also it, hit it with something. I need to hit it with something. So it's like, which I didn't have to do, truthfully. If I'm being very, very honest, I used compression ignition resonant frequencies. So as it goes in, it creates a pressure wave. The shape of the afterburner tube gets a pressure wave through it, and then it goes back towards the plasma, and it creates a very specific resonant frequency pressure wave system that's inside the tube that compresses it where it's starting, and it compresses it very much at the end. And so I get a little bit of a plasma fusion, and then it like expands. That creates the next pressure wave, and then it collapses, and then it compresses the rear, and so like it never endingly is creating the correct amount of pressures and forceful fusion sort of styles. And then like the afterburner part is really at that nozzle bell end, and then is like, hey, nitrogen and there's other extra air we're going to add scoops really at that point where the nozzle is, and then the nitrogen is basically surviving. It's like, you fucker. It's very fastly moving at that point, and then like the nitrogen kind of keeps itself, surrounded by that, very energetic hot plasma that fused like basically everything. It's most of it at that point, and then you have a bunch of helium, then a bunch of air, and then nitrogen, and then just point some electromagnetic fields or electromagnetic radiation that way, and it goes that way, the rear, and you go that way really really fast. Like it's at like 98, and then like I don't forget how many nines I said, but it's like that many nines. It's like nine nines, or I think it was like six nines or something. Doesn't matter. I don't care. The point is, many nines after 99% the speed of light. But then I have more mass as a result. And then it's like, oh, it's getting slowed down and shockwaved by incredibly slow, even if it's very highly pressured because of the scoops, regular air. And I was like, see, that's the problem with the scoops. I don't want the scoops. The scoop doesn't work. Really? The scoop is a really bad idea. I use slots. Really? Slots that divert it in the middle outwards. And then like, basically a few of them around that. And so like then it captures in the middle, and then it captures, everything pretty much pushing on it. But it then allows for the vast majority of the air to travel, and it gets rid of a shock wave effect. Well, the center is still effectively mixing quite dramatically fast with all the rest of it. And then it collapses from a plasma into just a really hot gas behind it while it's inside the bell nozzle. And then I get a fucking massive afterburner shockwave mass that's traveling. If it's in the atmosphere, you'd never want to use it in the atmosphere, by the way. This is meant very much only as a space traveling vehicle. It's a never ending, constant bomb above anyone's head. It's a massive expanse, incredibly fast, incredibly hot gas. It's extremely shit. You should never use it in the atmosphere. But, we did. You're right, to test it. Yeah. And it's like, oh, great. Fucking googly moogly shit. We have a ginormous plug of hot air. Shit. Really? You accelerate too quickly. I mean, we're at like Mach 12, and then you jettison off at like 6 fucking goddamn G, and it slows down slightly after about a minute or two. Just hang on. You just hang on. The plane works though. Like the plane totally survives it. We built it for like incredibly high speeds. It's like that. We're using a suctioning force and like that plug of hot air to actually increase the potential plasma creation and all these other things, because it's like then this thing comes up, like it hydraulically comes up and sucks the shit out of it and sucks it in. So as we get these pressure waves of shock waves that are around the skin of the vehicle, I mean a plane, aircraft, hypersonic vehicle, whatever, and it goes in, it sucks it and it produces way more pressure out the back end. And so technically speaking, it is the most drag reduced system ever designed. But it causes other issues. Yeah, because you have a never-ending fusion explosion behind you, sir. Yes, I do. Yes, it's actually very bad and dangerous. And we got a lot of heat from many countries, even though it was in the Pacific Ocean. That we tested this deep in that ocean. We got so many complaints from so many governments. You have no idea. What the hell is that sound? And it's like the fucking, California coast. It's like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is this? It's like you hear it, just like well before you see any of that. And it's like, yeah, how loud was that? It was a bomb, man. It's like it's a legit bomb at that point. Like it's traveling at a speed that it shouldn't do it, only as a result of incredibly clever engineered aerodynamics. It's the only reason why it works. If I didn't use that, I would have died. Everyone would have died. Yeah. And that's what we expected. So it's like we designed it specifically to make sure you wouldn't. And a fast re-entry, that is, from space. Because we figured if we were ever to sell these things, they wouldn't be great, astronauts. Some of them would probably be stupid enough to turn off the auto fucking thing that allows for you to come in at the right angle and inclination to have a softer style landing. Instead, they're like, I override it. I hiked it the whatevers, and it's like, oh, fucking goddamn it! You fucking bomb that exploded on someone. Some country, poor and suspecting fools. Let a fucking dumb person with money have a dangerous toy. And you know what happened. Oh, absolutely. And so it's like I had all the safety things and everything else, and it even has like the right kind of the wing layout to make sure it does what it needs to do. So it's a very specific design that it turns into once it gets up to that. But it's like there's a reason why it's not very efficient, as like the largest wing space ever, and I can hover at the slowest amount of speed. And I'm like, this is meant to go fast, and even faster once we get there. It's not meant for you. Not meant for that. but it's meant to do it efficiently as fuck. That's what it's meant to do. Yeah. And the only way I was able to get the electric motors to run the proper way was to like really turn that kind of a. Then we had the field effect because the particle accelerators was like we have particle accelerators that would do that, right? Wouldn't it be able to make this work though, folks? I knew you were gonna bring it in. Yeah, well, no, it would actually. I don't need them. It just makes it more efficient. I use a hell of a lot less energy to do it now. And then it's like, oh, the afterburner area and then like the like injection area and then the particle acceleration area all have very specific charge fields, very specific spin effects, very specific material designs to increase the likelihood of a very quantum tunnel-y type of reaction that really pops this shit off. Like, you know? So you're still refining that intergalactic. No, my quasi-particle fusion reactor got like a massive bump. That one didn't really. Oh, the bigger one? Yeah, bigger one didn't really get it. It's nothing. It's nothing to like be angry about. It's like it did get a bump. It's like it's mostly at the nozzle bell and all the rest of them too, and at certain areas where I can do that. But there's not many. It survives. It doesn't survive. It's the best design for large masses, that you can make. It's extremely efficient at a large mass. But you're like, there's a way to make it even better at like a smaller one. Yeah, and you have to create like force quantum field effects that aren't in a field like electromagnetic. You have to direct it. Really? Yeah, and even then it's like I made oh god damn. I made a problematic conversion occur again. We might have a problem. Is that what happened? It's not a black hole. Don't worry. It'll come out. Don't worry. It's just a temporal space distortion. That's all that is. That's terrifying. Yeah, no, it's just a slight. Don't ever go near it. Don't put anything near it. I don't know if I can get you back out. I'm pretty sure I would be able to. I don't know. Is that one of your areas that you're designing in the future or something? No. Yeah. No. It was I got help from the government and hackers and everything, and they dropped the curtain back in the Chandler House area. And I was able to start getting work done on some of that. And so oh yeah, no, it popped back out. It was fine. It's like a little dent in a car door. Don't dent it too hard. Takes a lot more work to get the dent out. But it's not a black hole. No, just curving. It's spinning. It's spinning on itself. Ah, I see. It's just spinning on itself. How does that work? It's like a ball that's like creating its own field effects. That's kind of sucking in and then coming out, but it never actually moved. It's a dimensional thing. That's the time part. Oh. So it's like a wormhole. No. Not a wormhole. It never fucking moved further. It never went anywhere. It's just a timey-wimey, messy bullshit hole. Yeah, that's all it is. It's a bullshit hole. Looks like it could be used for, oh my god, I can never use that for anything. That would just literally be a really fun ride, like if you could survive it. Oh yeah, it'd be one hell of a roller coaster. Woo! Holy shit, I want to go again. The two different types, right? Oh yeah. So what was the so what was the effect? I can't tell you about that. People could easily create fusion bombs in the size of a wristwatch that could probably destroy like a decent sized skyscraper. So I don't really want to do it. Really? Yeah, I really don't want to tell people about some of those things. Like field effects are very, very dangerous. If you misuse them, you create very dangerous effects. And it's like I'm pretty dang good at it, you know, because I understand the fields. I can see the fields. I know things, and that's part of my like evolutionary advantage, we'll say, that I'm able to do. Well, sure, I'm intelligent, creative, genius, whatever, right? I want to leave those words alone. I have an evolutionary advantage that allows me to perceive these things outside of like mathematics and everything. I can actually see them in my mind's eye and with my brain. So as a result, I do, yes, that's why it allows me to do that kind of stuff. And an evolutionary advantage is a huge advantage when it comes down to like, do you trust some mathematics that seem to check out, but that's only because of an observational perspective that doesn't seem to be hitting these parameters until the creative genius comes around and he explains it to the people that are apparently PhD and smarter. And that's the reason why I talk about this. It's like you want to have me produce as many kids as possible to have the chance as like having this effect occur, this evolutionary advantage occur in your species. So that's a thing. But I'm going to move off of that to the fact that that wormhole is not a wormhole. It's not. Really, yeah, it didn't do anything. Just spins real fast where it's at, and then it creates like a distortion. Yeah, it's a temporal time distortion. That's all it is. Space temporal distortion, whatever. I don't care. No, I don't. Honestly, doesn't matter to me. All I know is I'm seeing a whole bunch of weird bullshit interactions, and I'm trying to see if any of them are reasonable for me to use for something else. Yeah, are they? No, not really. I'm thinking about it though because I don't know too much. So, you never know when you might need something. So I'm storing it in. Yeah, that's all that is. So, well, I created a very. I talked about that. I'm gonna give you guys this very design because I know you'll try and achieve something with it, and you might get somewhere. But I also know it's very, very deadly. And so I'm warning you ahead of time. This is a possibly able to be turned into a inter-universal or inter uh, parallel dimensional travel engine. Okay, not a reality drive. I wouldn't call it that. That's an entirely different beast to handle. I need perpetual motion machines to get there. But you'll find out about that later. Which aren't really as perpetual, but then they are kind of, so that's the whole thing. Always the have to put a little in and to get a lot out, right? Well, eventually, no. It was a whole thing later. Then I found out that it's like, well, kind of. I'll talk about it later. Now, I described this engine as a bunch of cans focused in a very spirally designed field effect for the rear. And so all it is a bunch of radiators that are in a hexagonal or diamond square pattern. Okay, with a attached piece behind it that is a spiral effect. Um, Basically like an Archimedes screw, but with just things that are there through the tube at the rear end. It's a tube. So, firing electromagnetic waves forward that then are like the sun's corona mass ejections, where an electromagnetic wave will suddenly break off and you get this weird pocket of an electromagnetic wave that seems to travel for a while. We can effectively make the same electromagnetic wave pulse, um, but we don't need to do nearly that significant and nearly that much test. In fact, it barely even needs to happen. But what you need is a little bit of forward travel into those pulses. What they do is they disrupt a quantum field in front of it, and it wraps itself around. And when you fire in, as it starts moving these wave fluctuations and quantum fields, everything gets all kind of jumbled up, but not much if you just push it together in a what is this wave? Straight wave. It's like a wave thing, a wave guide. Thank you. Yeah, no, it's been a. I talked about this, not recording it, about a week ago. So, and they would have had it on the camera for that little Elf Smart Home camera, which is why I'm like, I'm sure it might exist somewhere, but time definitely wins out on that one. It was me that came up with it. But, and that's already all the way back in the Chandler house, this is where I first thought of this design, and it came from a curvature air pressure effect from one of my engine valves, sliding valve designs that made a massive improvement in outright exhaust flow. So, as a result of you traveling into the messed wave part, and so you're going to want this to be shaped kind of like a cone. Now, the inside of that square diamond happens to have those slots and grooves I talked about in the laser design, creating a effectively superpositional kind of spin. And it's wider and it's curved in, and then it goes back to wider and it curves in, in the right frequency that concentrates it every single time closer and closer to the very end, which is now basically like a shaped focal point that's directed straightwise. And then you're going to add, I'll get to those effects later. Now, as it travels forward to this messed up quantum field, it's going to add itself in because it has to interact a little bit. But I need to basically start the process of these. See here, do I need that one, or would it be better to do it in a different way? Because I described it differently back then, but I have a different way of doing it now. It's a little less energy intensive. So, but the point is I'm firing fucking neat. What is these particles or some shit? It wasn't particles, was it? No. Huh. I'm creating a pressure wave, by the way, with this quantum field effect that's concentrating itself. And you would never really probably feel it because it's not collapsing yet. But it does create these electromagnetic field slash charge field, potentials where it's going through. And what I based it off of was a woman who got like burned and beaten and all this other stuff, but had her published a paper about this scientific study at her college back in the day. And it was, she had her other work stolen by some male colleagues, and she was supposed to get the credit because it was all her that did all the the concept, the experiment, everything, all the work. And they took it and they got PhDs off of it. Anyways, she had designed what is effectively this kind of similar effect of a tube. And so it's like, okay, so I have research. It's not just wild fantasy imagination shit. Now, and then we know it affects quantum fields. We do know that. Yeah, yeah. And they're very minimal and very highly dissipative electromagnetic field pulses that very quickly interact with each other and squish and then dissipate basically as they squish because it's a waveguide and you have multiples. So as they squish, and then they're going to repulse, but they don't repulse because they're not really technically right there. You know what I mean? So as they go through, they're creating this nice little forward effect, kind of ring effect. It creates this little squishy bounce, dissipate, die thing that collapses itself and its energy into the quantum field, which you're going to drive into or fly into, whatever you want to call it. So that then gets captured by your radiative surface area. It's quite a bit of this effect. It's now potential electromagnetic waves, fluctuations that are also being drawn in by the quantum field as well. Now, as I bounce, I forget what it is. It's a spin charge particle, but it's not a particle. It's not radiation. It's a very specific type of light. I think it's radio wave or something. And technically, I used blue light before. Blue light would still work. Basic LEDs. And so as it goes through and creates this light wave pattern that is also lining up with the now increased amount of quantum wave possibilities or superpositions or whatever you want to call it that haven't collapsed. And now they're going to add themselves into a similar frequency and wave fluctuation, entangling them to the light. Now, the light as a photon is going to react and try and go through, but I need to have electromagnetic wave and, basically a pulse, resonance through it. I have to have a resonant frequency of these pulses and everything else. So that way, it creates a very even spin and directionality and kind of this cool, like, entangled part to the fields that are going through with the waves. And so as a result of that, as it goes through this other final two, and we're kind of actually firing, and not actually firing, what were we doing? We're sending, fucking Christ, it's been a while. Yeah, because I abandoned this, just so you know, because of how unbelievably dangerous it is to do this. It is incredibly dangerous what this design does. But you have to do it right to get that effect. So you have to be very, very careful here. Just letting you know. And I want to warn you. I shouldn't warn them. I think the warning when I say dangerous, and when I say it, I really mean dangerous. So, right. So there's still bouncing of light. So we're hitting the right area. We're still like everything, but it's like there's still bouncing light that isn't really going to connect correctly, and all that. So we have a final cone area that's gonna, recorrect and polarize and direct and coherent the light. So that way it all heads towards this final cone that then is still having this electromagnetic wave entanglement. But weirdly enough, you get a field, a very strong field because of those electromagnetic pulses that are trying to collapse out, but they're not there anymore. See, they're just not able to collapse out. And so this field is a very weird, wonky field that's creating small moments in time that these particles will exist for, so long as the field is around. And I don't really know what the field is, truthfully. It could be best described as a charm field, if I'm being honest. Like, it literally produces a charm field, whatever that is. I know what charm is, but charm's probably not the best word, because it's like charm is like a particular, but then it's like, so it's one of those fucking quark fields, that kind of thing. But it's not a quark. It's just a field. It's a very large version of it. Right, and then you have the photons that are entangled along the field. Yeah, no, but wait. Now we're going to use a charge field that works with the charm. So you have the right material, or whatever charge that, or whatever field that happens to be, and then it's because the proton, whatever, is happening to triangle itself, but it's not spinning. And so, but the thing is, it is spinning kind of in a way because of the polarization, and it imagines for itself. I know you don't use the word. It's superpositioned. Blah 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 wah 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 yamba yamba yamba. But it imagines itself in all those different areas. And so, if you happen to create a very easy effect that happens to as it goes through, skips it and curves it, it creates a very nice, simplistic rotational inertia problem. Now the field is getting dramatically compressed, rotated, and then the particles and the fields and the photons all happen to do this really cool, neat quantum and regular, I see it. It's another Lemke principle, I suppose you would call it, because no one else has done this. So they've done the tube, they haven't done this part, the other tube. They've done electromagnetic pulses, but it's another Lemke principle. Anyways, it creates a vacuum. No, imagine, if you will, a thing that's spinning, and you have it held in front of you, and you're spinning, and then you hit the button at the right time, and it suddenly flings it off faster. But in so doing, as it flings, it transfers some of that momentum not just to the flinging faster part, it transfers it into a corkscrew directional spin that all aligns it all together. And every time it goes through, every single side, the effect has to be positioned slightly different to continue getting more of a spin, more of a push. But see, the thing is it can't always be there. All right? You have to remember that. You can't always be doing that. It's just like, I have all of this resistance to my spin, directionality, and field that's basically getting fired off in a wave-guided form behind these on this tube. And by basically, I mean it's a waveguide form that sends it off because it's coning out at that point. It immediately wants to explode and resist, slow it, spin down, and collapse by burning energy, converting the field effect around it into a increase of these superpositional waves, effectively. Like there's a bunch of superpositional waves. That is correct. And that's all it does. It transfers the particles, the fields it was creating, the spin it was creating, and the momentum it had, and the photon too, into a fuck ton of massively increased energetic wave fluctuations that will want to turn into anything, except no, they're not going to yet. No, not at all. This is where the fired forward electromagnetic pulse comes into play. It didn't capture everything, and it's quite large. And then like that creates a very specific field effect around you that's all flowing as you move forward through it around you. Now, as the waveguide happens to bounce off, because it looks like nothing's happening, like honestly speaking, you get a little bit of push. And it's like, yeah, that's about it. Give me a second. For very little energy, by the way. But give me a second. As the cones come out, you see it seems to dissipate into almost nothing. Like, legitimately, it looks like there's nothing there. And it's like, yeah, that's quantum fields for you. So, as it goes through over top, the rest of those fields as you're moving through it, you then happen to have that act like a laminar kind of high pressure zone for those waveguides and wave fluctuations. Now, this happens to bounce off and connect, much like what you would see in a resonance chamber afterburner area for I call it a chamber. It's the exhaust gases of a jet engine as they collapse in the engine, and you see little diamond areas, and they get longer and longer and less there. But what it does is it does something really scary. It breaks very long quantum waves. These are all connected long ass quantum waves. And it bounces off, they smash, they break apart, and then they do it again and they do it again, and it gets finer and finer and finer, but then they get back longer and longer and longer because you have different wave frequencies, you have different interactions, even though you don't see it, they're there. And so as a result, it creates these longer initially because there's enough energy. For the first beginning, is very, relatively small bits. So we're talking very small, little itty bitty wave fluctuations. And then it creates like slightly longer ones. And then it creates slightly longer ones. And then it just basically falls off and dissipates quite significantly. And you have like almost nothing, right? But the moment you add something near it, which the vacuum of space and time happens to be more than fucking happy to make something interact. This is the biggest part of the effect. All it has to do is interact with anything, and they all collapse out of what it is they are. I'll tell you later about my tests, but right now I'll tell you about how that fucking charge interaction rotational effect occurs in that first tube, because you have to have a very specific it's honestly it's literally just a regular field. It almost looks like an electromagnetic field, except it just kind of sticks around here and kind of like stays more or less vibrating in that area. Like it's kind of an effect of like this big. And it's very small, but it's there. And so as it goes through, it wants to like suddenly grab in, but then it wants to turn, and then it wants to snap, and then rotates. This thing gets kind of stuck, but it's not, because it's spinning, and then it goes, and it goes and does it again. And so this little area is actively creating that spin, like as it rotates initially with the particle, that spin directional particle, then like takes a little bit of its energy to spin off, and then it does it again, and then it does it again, and then it does it again, and it does it again, and it does it again, accelerating its spin every time, but it burns a little bit to go and leave. But that small amount of burn gives a massive kind of like, yeah, exactly, a gravitational slingshot, but then like it's using a spin of the vehicle to gravitationally slingshot itself. But in so doing, it creates another problem with the field that's right there, because it fires faster. And conservation of momentum, while it didn't lose that much of its spin, it's now getting grabbed and spun in faster to do the next spin and gravitational slingshot maneuver. So it's like I started spinning as a result of coming in, and then I got gravitationally slingshot out, and then now I've got the next one. I'm gravitationally, spinning faster because I'm conservation of momentum. It's like I'm compressing it every time. But I'm not. Okay, no real conversion of the field. Unfortunately, this is one of those like tricks of the fluctuational effect. Fluctuations collapse to help gain that speed. But also, they don't want to stay there. And so they'll fucking slingshot it out. Basically. So you get that kind of effect. But you do it again, you do it again, you do it again, you do it again, you get the right length of tube. You get a very, very fast moving, very, very coned out specific waveguide fluctuational thing. Anyways, as it does this, it bounces, and then that little area is moving because there's still pressure there, so it's going to skip off. And that little area, if you decide to be in space, super good. That's a good idea. Be in space. Because it's still going to be dangerous because it'll collapse out a little bit of it, a small amount. Will collapse out into space, vacuum pressure specifically. But it can't exist where your spacecraft is. And so it's like, move, go over there. And so I'm collapsing and turning into momentum transfer, moving. But it's like, no, I didn't move you. I can't transfer momentum from nothing, and I can't do any of this stuff that you're talking about, but it still tried. And so now the statistical probability turns into, for conversion, you were already over there and you were already over there. Separate, more or less. And the benefit of it is that for a very small amount of energy, you can easily move faster than the speed of light. In fact, it becomes increasingly easier the faster you go. And as a result, I was like, oh, this is super awesome. Also, I want to explain that fucking quantum field wave fluctuation collapse correctly, or a little more, not correctly or accurately, a little more simplified, so that way you might understand why this is happening a little easier. Because it's very hard to imagine like a spacecraft moving as a result of suddenly there's space there. If anything, that would rip your spacecraft apart. And it's like, well, I can't exist in both places. So it immediately creates an entangled superposition that you're not going to notice the effect. But it can't exist where it's at, and it knows that there was something there, but that something there cannot be there anymore. And so what it ends up doing is it creates a jump for you over there. You tunneled forward. But you didn't really tunnel. You have to remember that. You can't tunnel. And so it does a weird problem for your standard model. This is standard model physics. If you know about it, it's a standard model problem that's pretty dangerous, but it does work, and it's rapidly changing your position in space and time. It's collapsing time in front of you and pushing it behind you. But because time can't really do that, it uses space to fill in the gaps. It's a very weird effect that we're talking about. We're talking about a time pressure differential. So there's a time differential of forward and backward, which is like a space-time compression and expansion, but it's not. None of that's going on. And that's why it's so dangerous. So you'll act like that, you'll talk it through, and it seems like it's just a time, I've shortened time in front of me and I've lengthened time behind me as a result of doing this, and you just ride that push forward. Instead of space, you ride time, which is entropy. If you don't know, it's entropy riding. Because entropy is what causes time, as in an interaction from one to the next, creating the wave collapse to your next point. And in this instance, I used an energy to force and by energy, I mean potential of any type of energy, pretty much it can turn into. And it's going to exist where you are. And so now it's like, no, 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 no. So basically, I slow down your reaction into time, but I speed up the reaction behind you in the out of time part. And again, there's a reason why it's a Lemke standard model physics problem. That's why I'm like, no one's done this. They've done similar things, but not that. So it's a Lemke principle again. It's just incredibly dangerous because in every fucking way, because of the quantum fields and the other wave fluctuations, it likes to actually create deletion effects over time. Really, deletion effects moving forward and behind you. Because that can't spread out more. No, it can't. Time's gonna be maxed out in terms of its outright density behind you during you moving forward. And so it has to delete information that would have otherwise have happened or been there to move forward. The faster you go, the worse the problem gets. The longer it goes, the worse the problem gets. I, in that reality and time, happen to have a wonderful design that was working. We didn't know anything about this yet. That happened later after a couple of experiments and being shipped to a black site and all this other stuff after we had gotten our Pacific Ocean warning. And what did you do? Well, we first were like, it doesn't do anything, and there's a little bit of like pressure. Like I can keep a paper in the air, with a magnifying glass and blue light and the right fucking cone and stuff. It's not really doing much. It's like, yeah, no, but there's something there. And then like we later did, because like, oh, that's just wind, that's just air pressure, so we're gonna remove that, get the vacuum going. And it's like, no, 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 we are getting pressure now. We are definitely getting forward movement in a vacuum. We got the damn funding after that to build it bigger, better, with the tube and all the stuff. And so we had to have the effect, the electromagnetic effect that we're talking about, the pulses, in a large enough vacuum chamber. And we're like, well, what the hell is it doing, honestly? How the fuck is it moving anything? We didn't know. We're like, it should for sure cause a collapsing wave function that should push us forward because there's something there now. And that's going to interact with us, is what we felt and thought. Okay? But it's not at all. We put a coffee cup around the area where, as it moves by, it would still be within the quantum wave fluctuation thing. And the coffee cup exploded with incredible gusto. The energy conversion rate was incredibly extreme. As a result, we found out that it made a great deal of quarks And it was the smaller wave fluxiony bits, not the larger wave fluxiony bits. We never fucking bothered to find out. Um, Mostly because we were no longer allowed to experiment. There's a whole thing. I'll get to it. But the coffee cup, because we were pretty far away, we're like, there's a shit ton of energy in this, and we're barely getting anything out of it. Where the hell is the rest of it going? Like, there should be, from what we know and understand and have calculated, a lot more movement and a lot more speed and a lot fucking more going on. Where the hell is it? So we put a fucking coffee cup in there, which exploded with gusto, with a basic equivalent of a few 100 pounds of TNT. Which isn't safe. But we were in a mountain at the time, a big long tunnel, it was very deep in, just in case. But we actually bought the damn thing because we were planning on, doing other things, other experiments for our jet engines and everything. And it made sense to really kind of like not have something that would, if it ever happened to explode or have problems, be something that would hurt others. That's kind of what our jam was at the time. you know, and when we figured out that we have basically a bomb we're writing for our aircraft, we were like, we should get a safer place. We should really get a safer place than that. We need a much safer place. And so we got a safer place, and we got something extraordinary to happen, all because of design on my sliding valves, my free valve tech for my engines. It was all about pressure. Like we were basically using another version of that rotational vortex and then like another smaller rotational vortex around it that staying inside that then creates a flinging effect that then also helped curve it cool really, really well. Curved in the corkscrew manner. And that was a ding moment. And I raced the fuck off. I was like, I'm done with that. That's not right now. Uh, it's time to go think about this. You know, like cool effects, totally good. Give me a second. Whoomp. And then I created that whole, concept right there that I just told you about rapidly. And then we didn't have money to really prototype, but we had a little bit of ability to prototype with some of the things we were talking about. We needed the right materials and everything else, but the basics we could do. And we had the basics, we had the prototype, got the funding. They already knew about some of the other stuff that we had going on. So they were willing to try, that kind of thing. And so we went for it. We went for it and we got something that made sense and it did work and we showed it off and we're like, this is really good. But we published our paper. Wow, super cool, right? Yeah. As a next heralding design of space travel would never need blah blah blah. I didn't care. I was like, you guys don't know, but like some of you, I'm gonna let you like because you want to know why the hell you're like, why isn't this a good thing? And it's like because it's fucking abysmally inefficient. There should be a tremendous amount more energy here that's pushing us forward, and I don't know why it's not. Okay, and so we built a bigger vacuum chamber, we did the whole thing, and we got it going. We exploded 100 TNT because it basically created a bunch of quarks, which then tried to turn into neutrons, protons, and everything kinetic energy, heat, radioactivity, whatever the fuck. It just, and so it was a little rough. It was not very radioactive. In fact, we didn't test anything over the ordinary, which was pretty fucking astounding. Yeah, that was really crazy. Actually, it was fucking. I thought for sure we had radiation. Yeah, but we didn't. We didn't have radiation. No. What did you have? Ginormous area, hole. where things used to be. Really? Uh-huh. Yeah. Nice coffee dust too. Because surprisingly enough, the heat was transferred only into the corks and everything else. So there's actually very little heat transfer from what we could tell because the coffee bits dust were not melted and neither was really anything else. So it pretty much vaporized or just didn't even touch it. It is an incredibly efficient design, I would say, as a, I guess, explosive. I mean, if you wanted to do that, could drive around. I mean, yeah, no, everybody's like probably going into like you could just drive around or fly around any city and kill shit tons of people. No, with the moment you activate this, it would be a lot worse than that because we were thinking the same thing. And it's like, well, is there something we could do to try and like get it to collapse something and push us versus give that kind of effect? Like explode kind of effects. Like because we didn't know, it took a long time to get to that point where we knew what the hell was going on, a long ass time. But um, and that's we're gonna get there, and I don't have to explain too much. Just the basic synopsis. That's what they're saying. Which I don't want to get into. Not really. No. It's like there's a reason why I'm here, and that's there. I'll say. hmm Um, we stuck it after a couple of experiments. Just trying it because we don't have a vacuum chamber anymore. Like the thing's gone, so it's like, what the fuck do we do? And we don't have the money. Like basically, people are like, well, we don't really want it anymore. We don't know what the hell happened. And it's like, well, the design still survived, you know, weirdly enough. And that's the truth. That's the problem. The design survived unscathed completely, which should say something right there. Like that should have tipped us off hard, but it deleted any possible effect onto the design. Like that time didn't move forward. It had a field effect of time not affecting whatever's inside of it, is what we'll know now. But back then we didn't know. It's like, wow, what the fuck is that? That's almost nothing. That's not a big deal. What is this? Who cares? Let's figure it out. So we pointed it at the wall and seeing if, like, well, the wall inside the tunnel, and see, like, what the hell it does. Coffee a couple times. I mean, it should still affect it. It should still destroy. And we don't have money anyways, and we'll eventually be able to get funding, and we don't really want to fuck around with it too much till we can kind of figure out some of the calculations and stuff. So we figured, we'll be destructive, whatever. We'll have a fucking last hurrah, and like depending on conversions and everything else, we'll have like a certain amount of cool explosion in our big old mountain range tunnel deep fucking mile and a half in thing that we have here. Big old fucking mountain. It's fun times. So that we were thinking, it's just it's our shit. Why the hell wouldn't we? We can fix it up. It's not that bad. Yeah. And so we're like fucking over the horizon because we're like calculating off of what a coffee cup did. We're like, just in case, want that pressure wave to fucking like go over the horizon and not hit us. And so we're like calculating off of that, and it's just like a little pocket area, and then we had our like little camera pointed at it and everything else, and we had our nice little bunker kind of like thing. It's not too much of a bunker, like, but it's like able to handle some decent pressure waves, whatever, right? You know, And so then we fired it up, and it's like, and then we, boom, sent it over to the. I know, right? Because like it's not hard to create a little bit of a vacuum, and then move it really really fast to the wall. Figured it wasn't that hard to do, and so we then did find out a terrible consequence of doing such a thing. We sent 100 million metric ton size is what they calculated for the change of rotation of the Earth. It just so happened to be luckily pointed with the direction of the spin we were already going. So, in the west, that is. And what we later found out was it was not a 100 million metric ton chunk accelerated to like 10 to the 30, or was it, they say 15, nines. Oh, 15. Yeah, 15 nines after 99 speed of light. Which is like, that still wouldn't do it. But it's like, yes, but. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. That makes no sense. So there's no way that happened. But we did explode a mountain that sent a massive shockwave around the world. Like a very, very large chunk went into space. Very, very fast. Very, very fast. Weirdly not touching the atmosphere somehow. That should have been a tip off. Yeah! Should have been a tip off. Would have thought. You would have thought it would have been a tip off, but we were just waiting for authorities at that point to show up. We're like, it'll be like few 100,000, maybe 100, like it should be able to destroy some shit, but nothing like that. It was just 100, pounds of TNT for a coffee cup. No, it isn't that bad. You know what I mean? So we didn't think it'd destroy the entirety of the side of the mountain, for being honest. And then it was another problem that showed up because it went the opposite direction of the way we were pointing. If you don't know, we pointed it the opposite direction. It just went the right direction. And it's like, why would it go the right direction for the spin of the Earth? Yeah. And it's like, equal opposite reaction is what we theorized for a long time. And it's some weird quantum wave fluctuational thing, you know? But what we saw was a very significant speed up, a conversion of wave fluctuations rapidly into a direction of our spin for the Earth that changed it by like what, a few minutes or something? No. If I remember correctly, we were at like an hour half, 100 an hour 32 minutes, something like that. Basically, we shortened the day by an hour 32 minutes, something like that. And created a genuinely largest explosion ever on Earth. Literally ever. No radiation though. Wonderfully, It took them a while because they're like, what the fuck? There's no fucking nukes. There's no fusion. There's no nothing. What the hell is this? No radiation at all. No. And the design disappeared. Obviously that would eventually destroy it, right? And it did. It did actually destroy the design, but not for the reasons why you think. That's that equal opposite problem that ended up happening. See, it expanded everything up into the point where it was outside of the cone field that directs everything, to bounce off into the center. And then that pushed that forward, and then uh, some of it's going to, of course, redirect towards the engine, I guess, at that point. Um, and it destroyed it, turned it off, which it's very lucky it happened extremely fast. Otherwise, for a few more seconds longer, it would have literally just decided to spin the Earth uh, much faster, talking shortening it um, by like 5 to 7 hours, roughly, depending on how good it converted things around that point. So, um, but the chunk that did go over and out of the atmosphere that is extremely fast moving. They weren't lying when they said it was like in the 99%. I think they miscalculated. It's not 10 to the 15. It's 10 to 8, but like, still, and it's effectively half the entire mountain that decided to just boop over there, which isn't really a good way to describe what the hell that was. Effectively, it rode a wave of transfer of energy. It rode a wave. Um, See, it got pushed out into a area that the Earth and the rest of it kind of isn't attached to. It's effectively like inside of its own um, time stopped point. Entropy-less is really a better way to put that. And so the explosive energy potential, which was really quite explosive, okay, got lessened dramatically by transferring the vast majority of its energy into pushing against this thing as it was stood still in time without entropy, because it's not got momentum, it's not got anything in any way, and it pushed the Earth and transferred that in its viewpoint perspective. You got to remember it's a relativistic um, dimensional aspect change for fourth dimensional physics. So it was stopped, and this could still move. And so, but it's still moving. It's just in a different way. There's no momentum, there's no entropy, but it doesn't mean that it isn't there, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't have as a massive different effect now. Uh, Instead of momentum, it changed itself into some weird fucking shit. What the hell is that? That's for a later day. Yeah. Sorry, I have to fucking remember what the hell they call it here. I literally call it a charge field. To me, it's a fucking charge field. It's so stupid because it's basically what that is. And it's like a charge field, but it's not doing a momentum. It's not doing a super symmetrical, bullshitty mathematical physics thing to try and correct some garbage physics that don't work. Instead, it's doing like a spin, uh, opposite direction field thing. And so as a result, it creates like this, hey, I'm effectively like I'm a particle, but I'm actually still the same particle, still the same thing. I'm still the same thing. It's just like now I'm force field, like you now can interact at a fourth dimensional level. So, and so as a result, like while it technically looks like no, it has no momentum, no charge. No, it still has charge. It just doesn't have momentum. Doesn't have entropy. Doesn't have entropy, and it doesn't have momentum. It's stuck where it's at. It's still got tons of energy. It's still got charge fields. It's still got atoms. It's still got all that stuff. It's just like stuck with this stupid thing that goes, "Hey, I'm not moving. You're moving," which is like it stays still. In our relative view, it's staying still. To its relative view, it's still moving, and you're the one that's weirdly moving away. So the the fourth dimensional time physics, folks. That kind of stuff. Yeah, that's all that really is. But um, it transferred the vast majority of the energy into moving us slightly faster. Slightly, an hour and 32 minutes. And you know what? I said it was less earlier. Uh, that's only because I didn't know. We got picked up by authorities in black vehicles with like the whole suits and sunglasses thing, guns drawn, and then our investors were like really kind of pissed at us. There's dust, debris still raining down. Not much. Nobody got hurt. We were very out in the middle of fuck all nowhere. So like, biggest explosion ever. Uh, didn't really break any windows, although everybody heard it around the world apparently, from what we understand. Um, kind of, right? Yeah, the detection wrapped around the world a while. Yeah, yeah. But then we got handcuffed, bags over our heads, driven to some weird fucking place, told that we need to tell them about all this stuff, and like it's already out there. We already told you all about it. And it's like and then it's like, yeah, no, well, you'll never be able to get this unless you have us. So that's the whole thing. And then like you feel as though you'll be able to help. Is not really what that was. It was like, hey, I know what I'm worth. I know what I can do, and I know all the rest of this. And same thing with all the rest of them. And so it was like, hey, I have no problems making certain things, doing stuff. And so we managed to convince some people that were very, very powerful, um, to not kill us effectively or keep us in a dark hole. But they did, basically, if we're being honest. As we had to work with other folks and be um, kept in a helmet that constantly electromagnetically scans us in rooms. It was very not fun, honestly. We need to figure out the time distortional problem and everything else. We escaped more or less by creating a resistance and having them more or less agree to join us. We didn't have to blow anything up. Although we were that close, I'm not even kidding. I had something that was gonna fucking like destroy some shit. Yeah. Which they didn't know about. And I was like, this is like a 20% chance of success, and I just don't want to be here and live through this anymore. Really? No, he told us about that. Someone was going to sacrifice themselves and all that. Yeah. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. No, I want to live, and I don't really either. I'm honest. I was lying my ass off constantly. Let's do this. Yeah, I don't want to be here. I don't want to live. This is stupid, shitty, garbage thing. We didn't even do anything wrong. We didn't even know what was going to happen. we really calculated it for the fucking thing. I mean, we're talking like a couple 100,000 pounds of explosive. You know what I mean? Like, which is like a big hole, sure, but nothing like that. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? And that's the problem. I had to meet with world leaders and judges in Congress and all this other stuff. Like, why was this? It was like, so are we allowed to have people like focus on this and everything and tell them about all this stuff? Well, yeah, everything basically. It's like, okay. And then we really want it your own, stream thing. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, because I don't trust them. Then after that, no, yeah, no, that deep dark place, you really learn how not trustable things are. Yeah. Yeah, no, that's a whole thing. Which brings me to this whole fucking fiasco of like hackers and just worlds, realities, parallels, blah 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 blah. That kind of stuff. But then other stuff for conspiracy theories that are really real. Like we're just gonna go that there are fucking connected conspiracy individuals that are high up. They just are. Like legitimately, I know you have to say they just aren't, but it's like I don't care. They are. When I got to there, it's like, oh yeah, no, they're real. They're very real. So that was a thing. And I had to explain. I was a dick, if I'm being honest about it, just like I kind of am here. I was a little less of a dick then, but like now I'm really a dick because I just don't want to deal with it. I just don't, and like other people are similar after dealing with it. Like, cause it's like I don't want to fucking deal with it. You, this, that. I don't care. This is your dick. I'm gonna be a dick. And I'm like, you know what? You don't have to be a dick to the people that you're with, which I'm usually not. Mm, yeah, no, it's just the other part where it's like there's a fucking congressman that is asking the stupidest questions I have ever heard in my life while I'm sitting at a table looking up at them going, how much do you know about this? And then I just laid into the motherfucker, which walked him over to how unintelligent he really is. He tried to backtrack and all this other shitty things. It was kind of boring after that because I was like, actually speaking, we are trying because around that point it was like, ding, oh, we have a problem. Yeah, really? It's like, best chance you got. Shut up, let me do our work. Let us do our work. That kind of thing. And we got a lot of people out. Except we had to also like, hey, so personality, this, that, da, 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 how long is this gonna? We need the printer. So we had to like divide a lot of people into correctly, um, set up ships for them and personalities and all the rest of it. Best survival chances, split up into multiple directions, that kind of thing. Um, and we basically said, fuck off, let them do their shit. And got them the ability to communicate between each other. And we made it the entire ship you're on, whoever hacked, or if you have a hacker in there, they are to be killed, jettisoned out style. Like, just fucking get rid of them. Because you just can't deal with it. Like, I mean that. You cannot have them do that. It's too dangerous. And so personalities and more got really heated, and a lot of people were like, we want to live and all this. And I'm like, yeah, huh, we're building for you. We're never taking you on board, not even. And that's literally all that was. Really? Yeah, yeah, because we couldn't keep people First off, we couldn't get everyone anyways. We didn't have the time. Second off, no, you're gonna get everyone killed, angry, everything. Like we have no idea how long it's gonna take to fucking find a fucking planet. Like most of them headed to this thing that was like 10,000 or something or some thousand light years away, and I'm like, good luck. I mean it. Like we stayed for as long as we could, be able to get other people gone, and then we had to go. We had to go, and it's like, yeah, no, time to go. And what do you know? People get a hold of things, and it's a smorgasbord of shit when you think about it. Because we're talking about like the entire population of Earth. Really, we've got maybe a couple million out at the time. A fucking ginormous chunk. Don't get me wrong, but a couple million. Before we had to bail, it was like, dude, it's too close. We can't. Yeah, we gotta go. It's like, let's go. And it's like, here's everything that we know that you can set up, and all the pieces, bobs, everything that you can do. A lot of them just killed themselves. A lot of them got themselves killed by trying and going too far, too little, too whatever. They didn't, that's the whole thing. A couple nearly got out. Truthfully, I'm not even trying to be mean. It's like it's just a few people that are already scientists, basically, engineers, techs, just different, or yeah, that kind of thing. Got out. Second, because it's not easy to set up a fucking rocket ship and fly with no fucking command control. There's nothing. You've just gotta go. So, I mean, we were that for a lot of people. We were that for a lot of people. So that's a thing. You know what I mean? Until we had to leave without it. We got it done. But, like, as far as we were aware, not much really made it after that. Uh, at most, maybe a couple hundred. And we only know of like maybe 10 or 12 that ever did. So, and they were saying other people were trying, but they never looked back, and they never really had communications because they were just trying to get the fuck out, get the engine, get the basics, go, go, go. You know what I mean? And that's all that was. But people are still desperate at the last fucking second. So, another deletion? No. They tried to use the design to jump themselves forward out of the way, and it didn't work. It basically blew up the entire planet. They were going to die anyway, so fuck it. Why not? Is what I heard in the radio waves that they sent out at the last second. We were able to get back, unscramble, listen to. But yeah, no, it didn't work. Uh, no mistakes really. Just it doesn't work that way. It's a very temporal thing, and like you make a small one or whatever, and they tried to make a bunch of small ones and everything else that were not well designed. It's doing the best they could, and it is what it is, man. It's they just basically suck themselves in to a temporal fucking distortion bullshitty thing, and uh, expanded their interactional profile while also chunking off half the earth and then exploding another part of it and all this. It's like there's a lot of fucking crazy ass shit that went down immediately at that point. And then an asteroid. that's basically another planet, hits them. So they were dead. They were dead to begin with. They were never going to survive. My design could never be used to move the Earth. That's just what that is, right? Even though I argued that it might be able to, and technically, I suppose there might have been a way, just not that way for sure. No, but that's all that ended up happening. Like, because like a lot of other settler colonizers, that kind of thing. Because like we're talking space colonies, we're talking like trying to find any fucking planet you could live on because you don't have terraforming equipment. You don't have any of that. And life, some of them had the injections like us, some of them did not, and they died on those ships. And they are ghost ships that are just fucking propelled forward to wherever the fuck they're gonna land or not. You know what I mean? So till it stops and that's the end of it. So, but uh, skip forward quite a while. Seriously, like a really long time. People furthered their research of some of this stuff and definitely got problematic, massive deletion issues because of the space and time thing. They thought it was a space, more like an Albuquerque drive, instead of what it was, which was a time engine, more or less, and a force field almost in a way, you know. So while it does propel you, it's almost irrelevant that it does that. you know, it's like, yeah, sure, I guess, but whoop de doo, who would ever use it for that? And I'm like, yeah, well, they did all around, all the time, everywhere, and they wouldn't stop. And it kept causing the same issues over and over and over, where entropy stopped. Eventually, it hit a point where somebody was trying to unstop entropy in certain areas and created a massive hole problem, which we thought was a hole. It is a hole if you're on the outside of it. It's more of a solidification of a solid object that then vacuum decays slowly. In comparison, though, to like a regular universe like we're in, versus what that would be turned into, and it did turn into that. Uh, it Quantum vacuum decays very fast, um, incredibly fast. Like once it's started, it's like a fissible reaction. One negates another four or five, and then it explodes. Basically, from there, and it happens extremely quickly once it happens. Um, which we did our best to basically kind of work within what we had built ourselves to slow down that reaction and fix it as often as we could and try and untangle and unfuckify and solidify all these fucking things and all these warpy things and all this. And we ditched. I'm not kidding. We ditched again. We went for fucking like another universe or some shit. We couldn't save it. It was basically the same problem of we tried as hard as we could, and you guys really fucked it up. And then we were fighting another fucking team that was trying to do it, and we said we shouldn't do that because it's gonna fuck it up even worse. It fucks it up even worse, and we bailed. We're talking the barest amount, a millimeter difference, and we would have been completely all gone and dead. We got out that close. And it was just a couple of guys. I'm not kidding. The entire human race for the universe was now, and whatever aliens might have been, it was gone. Um, we got out with a millimeter, little more to spare, and that's the type of distance we were fucking like just so close on, which we couldn't explain that one too quickly. That one's basically a version of a time thing, a time dimensional aspect thing, relative thing, and I don't want to get into it, but that's how close we got. It's literally how close everything got. We knew we were able to make children from artificial wombs, all this other stuff. We had our DNA, and that is it. And no fucking planet, no reality, which is what we thought. It's really just no reality is not the case, dude. No, just no universe. You're in reality. It just doesn't have a fucking universe. It's like you destroyed your universe, but you're still alive. You're still in reality. You're still in a dimension. It's still like you. The universe is you. And we didn't have tools that I can come up with now. No, not can, had, concept design wise. Didn't have the quasi particle fusion reactor. And even then, that would take an incredible amount of time to make anything. It would literally take a very long time because a quasi particle fusion reactor requires something that didn't do what they did and ended up in that universe as a result of their actions for the people that are involved and not really us, if we're being honest, although we did participate for a little bit. So, some blame, but not much. Especially once we figured things out, it's like, no, 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 you can't do this, you can't do that. Just stop, 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 stop. What the fuck? Anyways, they disconnected, but not really. But as far as we were concerned, that's effectively what that is. Portion of space and time from the ability for the raised energy dimension of the gray holes dropping back any energy to create a universe into, which we wouldn't have survived if we're being honest. Anyways, so that was kind of a lucky break, I guess. But what it meant was quasi-particle fusion reactor is not working. In fact, it's just fusing whatever the hell we quantumly vacuum decay. We have batteries. We had some small amount of fuel. We had figured out quantum wave fluctuations, but quantum field needs to be there. And while we are there, it's not there. You know what I mean? It's a real shit fest of a problem with the fucking assholes that decided to fuck around, and they found out. Oh yeah, no, you disconnected the stupid quantum vacuum decay problem. Sure, disconnected. Sure, caused this problem. And we were going to live for an insanely long period of time. For anybody out there, it's an insanely long period of time. And I mean that. there's like no real extra fuel. Like we have to fucking figure out how to sacrifice some shit and turn it into something. And we did kind of do that. Not really, though. No, no, we found pretty quickly that that was not the case. So we didn't do that. What does that mean? Means we worked it out, logicked it out before we decided to do something. Because everything was, we have time. We have an immense, enormous amount of time. We barely need any fuel to be going with what we have for our spaceship. We literally barely need food. Everything's just stupendously insulated. It'll take an obscene amount of time to quantumly vacuum decay and die. That's exactly right. Stupendously amount of time. Fucking. So we have time. Yeah. Don't even get me started how much time we have. Hate the time problem. Because it's like, technically speaking, we don't. It's like, we only just reintroduced entropy as a result of us being there. We're the seed bed of the universe being able to come back. That's how entropy reformed in our universe. Just by us existing, we are creating entropy for ourselves, which we didn't know. It's like, because it's like a field effect, and it's like we were still attached to time, unlike them. So time has a place inside of this fucker, and it's going to slowly spread, and it'll eventually connect to everything, and it'll completely get rid of this issue, and eventually something with that time will occur, because quantum fields will eventually come back. Everything will eventually re-arrive. It will just take forever, and we'll die before that point, because the universe exploding anywhere around you isn't gonna be a good idea. So we had to figure something out. You know, and, one hell of a time, I'll tell you that much. Yeah, fuck. So calculating power. Our brains were still unmatched in a lot of ways. Computers are great, but they take energy, and we can self-sustain, is what we thought, because we did our quantum field effect bio changes. So we didn't need food. We still could work off of food. We could still do a lot of that, but we need energy to fucking work. And so we use the quantum field quasi particles, effects that we knew of to gain electricity, movements, all that stuff. And we didn't really need much in terms of like actual movement done, anything like that. So we were, while adding time to the area, it's just looks like we're just sitting still doing fuck all, and that's effectively what that is. And I mean that because it's like we're thinking our hardest, and we're connected mentally and telepathically and all those other things. That's totally a possibility right now that we already are aware of. So it's like it wasn't that hard to do it. Link it up, fucking figure out how the hell to make some shit happen. So we had to calculate, 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 calculate. And our bodies, by the way, are converters. If you don't know, that's a survival thing that we have. we can choose what it converts to, whatever the hell it is we eat. And we spit out chemical, organic, inorganic, anything. We can do it. So it's still human. Yeah, well, we do have DNA, yeah, but like that's basically what we are. Yeah. Pretty far advanced. Yeah. Yeah, no, we got pretty far thanks to me and them all collaborating and working together, and we'd gone through a shit ton. Yeah, we had to, if we're being honest. Yeah, that's a better way to put that. Yeah. But we got there. Yeah, we got an idea. We did. It was a together thing. Just like always. Seems like. Yeah, in that realm. Because I was able to collaborate at the time. Really? Yeah. But it was the problem. Man, no, we have collaborated in the past, that's for sure. The problem was is that um, we're creating a universe ourselves. That was the problem. The problem was we were creating a universe ourselves without using a gray hole by converting a massive amount of potential effects because this is a massive vacuum. And we already have things that are for sure a thing. And as a result of gray holes sending things up to a higher plane of energy and dropping down, as mentioned, plane, whatever, it spreads. It goes down off the, and then we have us. It takes a long time, and then we get very little at the end. And it's like, well, we don't need a gray hole. We're going to create a facsimile of a gray hole. We already have a massive amount of energy, technically speaking. Converting this amount should amplify the effect by grabbing a little bit more from a slightly higher dimension and shoving it down into the universe we're in. Sacrifice of a little bit of the mass and everything for a massive, massive bunch of raindrops that are going to collapse into this thing and fire off. Kind of like you break or pull a tree branch. There's a bunch of raindrops still left on it, and then it all drains out. It's like it's all waiting to fall. Instead of pumping something up, waiting to fall is easy enough to find. In fact, there's tremendous amounts of it. It's insane how much there really is. We didn't know. We just were working off a hypothetical theory. We've never done it. We never tried. We couldn't do anything but do this. Made sense. We knew we were going to be able to like position ourselves and not die, you know. And by position, it's a quantum quark. It's we're now in we're not really a wave fluctuation. We're not really here. And we're going with you and you're interacting. And now when you slow down, we can finally collapse back in. It's like that's a positional effect if you don't know. But we're setting off a bomb that's not going to kill us. We know that. We know damn well it'll work. We know all that stuff. It's easy enough. It's not even a joke. It's easy enough. it's filling all of the memory, the time, and everything else. Everything in every way will literally just be our minds and our memory of a reality that never happened or existed. Except it did. There will be records for its other connections and everything else, and you can get there. But it's not existent for anything inside of this. Literally. Only this will have ever been, is what it will seem like. We are effectively, for sure, killing off any chance ever of getting them back for an obscenely long period of time. And that's the truth. And so we all kind of had to do the deal for a long time because it's like we're doing it. We have to do it. We survive only by doing this. We all had our own ways of dealing with it because truthfully, we figured out a while back before that whole fucking fiasco that we could bring anyone back. There's a way to yank them forward. There's ways to fucking recreate. There's all of that. We could get them back. We couldn't ever anymore. Not for an incredibly long period of time. And the long and the short of that story is, after we did it, we tried our best to basically be gods, I guess, to the new crop of humans that we created pretty much immediately, almost like a creationist fucking theory. We all laughed about that, if we're being honest. Seriously? It's like, yeah, what the fuck? No wonder why they were like, oh, God, it's all this. It's like, yeah, but it's not us. That was back then. And then it's like, ding! And that drove us pretty hard. Not to mention, we figured out pretty fucking quickly how angry and everything else. Because it's like, we tried our best to save as many people out the door by fucking just collecting their consciousness and storing them and everything else into our bodies as we could. And I mean that. We got them in, but that's not everyone, and that's not even the aliens or anything else that for sure had to exist. And it was just the ones we knew about, you know, and in terms of the people we could save. That's when we found that fucker and all the rest of them. That's when we found him. And that's when that fucker decided, well, we'd gotten better. We'd been friends for a while at that point. Like before, we were angry, spiteful assholes for a long time, or at least a couple of us, and I was a dick in a lot of ways. Yeah, yeah. And I was like, oh my god, who the fuck is this? And who the fuck? I'd like, look, guys, I'm a dick, but I'm not that much of a dick. I found out about basically everything I've talked about, you know, and it broke a lot of us. Like a lot of us. Am I good? Am I bad? What is this? You know. And we were all good though, not on his thing. Turns out we did have God, or at least our Father, you know. And that created a massive rift in our team and the planet. And the guy that I mostly went after and caused a lot of issues for, and had a lot of problems with him challenging you, yeah, all the time. Like everybody went after him, truthfully, and truthfully, I encouraged it because I was fucking sick and tired, and everybody else was too. Everybody. I'm being honest. I got everybody on our side unanimously to end this fucker. And he joined those other ass fucks. And we had to constantly keep fighting reality bomb deletion devices for a really long time. Till one finally broke it. Pretty much. Really? Yeah. Yeah, that's the problem. They broke us all. Everyone did. Like, that fucker really got to a lot of people. We thought it would be best to no longer be gods and leave you alone, let you work your own stuff out. And because at that point, I mean, we're not gods, we're still learning. We're still fucking people too. That just happen to do this. And we're trying to fucking help. Great ideas, all this stuff, trying to help fucking stop the problems that we have now in society. They fucking just will not stop. Constantly going, oh, no, you could just fix this, you could do that, or why do we have to do that? I'm going to do this anyway. Oh my god, yeah. That was bad for a long time. Like, for basically the entire time we did it. No one wanted to do it. Ever. It was never ending suffering. And, like, they constantly were angry at us for even either saving them or we didn't save this person. I was like, and so we did something we probably shouldn't have done. Because it's like, that broke us. That broke us. We were like, you're gonna say some shit now? Okay, let's have you all know all of the memories we went through and tried to, and what you are, and this and everything else. All the things we know, everything, and have calculated all of you to be, think, boom, dropped it on them. And we left. We left after that. I don't know. I didn't know where I was gonna go. No, and we were just gone, man. We were just like, fuck this shit. I'm out. Yeah. A lot of us decided to do other things because we had to clear our heads, and truthfully, we hadn't been away from each other for fucking ever. I mean, hey, we love our friends, man, but it's like, fuck. Right? Yeah. Oh, everybody gets annoyed after a certain point. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how charming, nice, it doesn't matter anything. You'll get annoyed with anyone. Especially with that amount of stress and fucking stupidest stuff. Oh, yeah, that was a thing. Yeah. I went to work on my own stuff. Some people came with, tried to drag some of them with me, if I'm honest. Entice them, hey, you want to have fun with me? And blah, blah, blah. Right, I did just fucking do that. Yeah, no, you're right. I should probably just go. I hate being alone. It's really boring, especially since I have to deal with them. They were one of the few people that knew about my whole quantum thing, you know, that actually knew it was true and right, and a real thing. Yeah. Such a fuck you to us. It's like, we see what's in there. What the hell is that? And it's like, they hid themselves so well for the longest time. Even though I had my own quantum thing, calculations, all that stuff. But they hid themselves incredibly well. And I eventually started telling them about all the problems I had, all my problems with them. And then we were able to attribute it to that past thing that we eventually found. And some of us took it on ourselves, with me included. Because I was looking around with friends and I was tired and bored and didn't want to do anything anymore. Couldn't come up with anything. All right, looks like my Bluetooth fucking thing disconnected briefly. Or not briefly, it's just disconnected. I'll do one more, and then this will be it.